my technical producer, as well as Z on this other end, and thanks to Zanele and Tabiseng for all the beautiful content, and of course what a wonderful show it's been. The full circle, we've had a bit of a blast. Let me go now and look for a little something to nibble on and sip something whilst I'm in the process. It's now time for news.
Thanks, Bertha. The top stories this hour: the MK party wins the Rustenburg by-election, and Zimbabwe to repatriate Limpopo bus crash victims. A very good afternoon. The MK party has won Ward 45 in by-elections in Rustenburg in the northwest. They won 43% of the vote. The ANC and EFF were also contesting the ward. Thabiso Molefe is the ward's new councillor. The ward was previously an ANC stronghold. The Electoral Commission's Dr. Dumelon Tletiba confirmed the MK party's victory.
Two of the by-elections were caused by death of councillors, the Rustenburg one and the Moretile one. Both Madibe by-elections were as a result of resignation. In Rustenburg, the party that won the by-election was the Umkhonto Wesizwe party, and the ward was originally an ANC ward.
The MK party's Bosale Dwaba meanwhile expressed their satisfaction with the victory.
Comrade Thabiso is always looking for job opportunities for our youth. That is why the youth supported us. Comrade Thabiso is not a tribalist. That is why he came up with a motto that says, "We work together, Reshomaka Moka." We, with immediate effect after our candidate is been sworn in, the first thing that he has to do is to have a meeting with the municipality, the mines that are surrounding us here, and the traditional authority, so that they must work together to make life better.
Ballistics expert Colonel Chris Mangena has testified that the firearm seized from accused number 3 in the Senzo Mayua murder trial, despite its aged and worn condition, was positively matched as the weapon used in the crime. 5 accused are standing trial for the 2014 murder of the former Bafana Bafana captain and the High Court in Pretoria. The DA in Tshwane says it remains confident that Silius Brink will survive the motion of no confidence, despite the party heading to court in a bid to block the motion set for tomorrow. Brink's lawyers filed papers in the High Court in Pretoria earlier today. The motion brought forward by the ANC is supported by Action SA, the EFF, and other minority parties. In the court papers, Brink argues that the motion is unlawful. DA Tshwane Caucus spokesperson Kwena Moloto says the mayor is entitled to sufficient time to respond to the issues raised.
We're confident. We believe that we still have a strong coalition here inside the city of Tshwane. We've not been told that any party has any intention of leaving thus far, and so if we do need to face a motion of no confidence, we're confident that Celia Brink will remain the executive mayor.
And the Zimbabwean government says it'll carry the costs of repatriating the bodies of the people who died in a bus crash in Louis Trichardt, Limpopo on Tuesday evening. The country's Consul General in South Africa, Eria Phiri, was speaking at the accident scene alongside Deputy Transport Minister Mkhuleko Hlengwa. The deceased bus crash victims are 5 women and 5 men, all Zimbabwean nationals. They were traveling to Gauteng from Zimbabwe. Phiri says they are busy with identifying the bodies.
We are still trying to verify the real identity of those who perished in the accident. We have got 10, and so far I think we still have 7 who are still admitted in various hospitals here in Makado, and 32 were treated and discharged. We are right now in contact with the families back home in Zimbabwe. Firstly, to ascertain the identities of those who are in the mortuary. So far, 2 have been positively identified by their relatives. All the costs towards the repatriation of the deceased is going to be made by the government of Zimbabwe.
The top story at 3 o'clock, the MK party has won Ward 45 in the by-elections in Rustenburg in the northwest. For SAFM News, Kimudupi Makhaleme.
In sports this hour, Tau left out as Bruce names final Bafana squad for crucial 2025 AFCON qualifiers, while Azza scoops under-20 World Cup 100-meter crown with Nkwane taking third, and Djokovic rakes up 90th US Open win. More details at 3:30.
So why should I use We Buy Cars if I want to sell my vehicle?
Because We Buy Cars buys cars.
But will I get the right price?
Of course. We Buy Cars buys thousands of vehicles and knows exactly what every vehicle is worth. Their buyers deliver exceptional service and pay you immediately.
And how do I know what they'll pay for my vehicle?
It's easy. Visit webuycars.co.za or use the We Buy Cars app. Follow the simple steps and voila, you'll know your car's value in no time. We Buy Cars. Quick, easy, the best.
So Sharon at the office was telling me the weight drip is so expensive these days. She's now waiting for her old clothes to come back into fashion. I say, Joza, while you're waiting, why not let your money do the things in a NetBank Just Invest account where you can get your money after 24 hours notice? Oganchani voiceman.
In Jano Mabel, you can earn up to 8.75% interest. Anyone can open an investment account via the Money app in under 2 minutes. See money differently. NetBank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. Promo rates apply.
Oscar and Emmy winner Kevin Costner is John Dutton, a sixth-generation homesteader and devoted father. John controls the largest contiguous ranch in the United States, operating in a corrupt world where politicians are compromised by influential oil and lumber corporations and where land grabs make developers billions. Shifting alliances, unsolved murders, open wounds, and hard-earned respect puts Dutton's property in constant conflict with those it borders, an expanding town, an Indian reservation, and America's first national park. Channel your inner drama with Yellowstone, Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
There's no question that today is a busy news day. You probably know that Colleen Makubele has moved on from her party, the SARA party, of which is the president, to the MK party. We should be talking to her any minute now. We must reflect on potentially what's happening with regard to the city of Tshwane. You may have heard there's a tweet coming from Celia Brink, who is suggesting that, according to him, Action SA has effectively walked out of that coalition, which puts them vulnerable, but it also tells you where does Action SA fit in with regard to tomorrow's vote of no confidence. And there's more. We'll also chat to Prof. Tuli Maronsela, getting her thoughts on the pronouncements regarding the VBS saga, in particular the allegations and what happens next regarding the now Justice Minister Thembi Simelane. But all that and a whole lot more. Bottom line to all of this, what for you moves the National Pulse? My name's Ashraf Garda. Welcome to the show. You can engage with me right through the show for the next 3 hours. To do that, you call in 086 000 2032. And if you're driving, wherever you may be around the country, well, ideally when you're not physically driving, but wherever you may be listening in, take a picture of what you see and maybe take a picture of yourself with your dial locked in to SFM and just send it to me. You can tweet it out, by the way. Just tag SFM Radio as well as myself, Ashraf Garda. But also you can send it to us via WhatsApp 0614 104 107, and you can send WhatsApp voice notes as well and text. And do I remind you as well, there's the new WhatsApp channel we've created, the National Pulse. If you want to follow that channel for alerts ASAP, just WhatsApp us and say join channel. So I think we've got all the bases covered, excepting that I'm talking to you, and I really appreciate the fact that you're an integral part of this show. So value your opinions. Often we'll agree, sometimes we disagree, but the bottom line, collectively you play a big role in driving the national pulse. So let's talk then first things first with the future really of Colleen Makubele, former SARA president, as well as that the South African Rainbow Alliance, and before that of course COPE, and very, very shortly had a position as the speaker in the city of Joburg. So much moves in a matter of weeks, if not days, right? Well, now it's a case of Colleen Makubele of the MK party. It sounds rather strange. Good chatting to you, and thanks for connecting on the National Pulse.
Good afternoon, Ashraf, and good afternoon to the listeners. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a strange way to introduce you, right? You're getting used to that?
Not yet, actually, not yet. I think it will grow in. I think it was a necessary move that has been coming for the past 3 months, and through the discussions that we've been having within MK leadership and President Zuma himself, and the need to consolidate the Black voices, African parties, and all of these many parties that went into the 2024 elections speaking the same thing, confusing the market. It's time to do things differently.
So you've sort of partially answered half of my next question, which was that you didn't wake up this morning and say, you know what, I'll leave the SA Rainbow Alliance, a party of which I'm the president, and I'll join MK. You're saying it's actually 3 months of negotiation. Were you therefore approached by the MK party to say, come on, join us, come on board?
Look, maybe the starting point should be this. The foundation and the formation of SARA was precisely the values and the principles that I believe MK is upholding right now. It's the amalgamation, the consolidation of minority parties coming together, to find common ground and speak with one voice, try to address the issues that we jointly feel strongly about in our nation's economy, inequality, poverty, and see how we can put our skills, expertise, our minds together, find solutions. That's why we formed SARA. Unfortunately, I was fired from COPE, and we had to run SARA the way we did, because then COPE withdrew. I was going in as COPE, right? And MK now, post the election, they started a call, which I was invited, and many other parties were invited, to say, let's consolidate as the progressive forces, irrespective of what ideology you stood for. There's an opportunity to stop all of these 50, 60, 70 parties going into elections and coming home with nothing. Let's come together. Let's see if we can consolidate even our voters, our supporters, agree on one vision. And I bought into that, because that's what SARA was all about. And for me, it was not SARA leading it, Colleen leading it. No, we are willing to be led, willing to follow, as long as the vision is the same. We can use a car, we can use a plane, but we're going towards one thing and one thing alone. How do we fix what's happening in our country as one voice? So that's what really drew me. And when they called on political parties to come together, consolidate, even as far as yesterday, they were calling on professionals who would like to come and assist MK in the structures, or maybe in deployment and volunteering. And that's what it should be about. If you're a political party, like a company, go out there, look for the best CEO, best COO, best technical guy. You go there, go out and call people, you interview them, you choose who you want to have in the position. Nothing wrong with a political party doing that. Instead of then ending up with people that are incompetent, you have to put them in critical position like mayor or member of parliament. Rather go out, find what you think will best serve the nation. And I applaud MK for that.
So it's an interesting point you say, in terms of, best in class or fit for purpose. Therefore, where do you see yourself in terms of being, best in class, fit for purpose within the MK party? And don't just say, well, I'm a cadre, I will take whatever they ask of me. I mean, the fact is, you must know you have certain skills, you have a skill set. That's what attracted the MK party to you, and maybe vice versa. So there must be a plan and a vision for you. Where do you see yourself fitting in?
At this stage, and I'll be honest with you, I've not been offered a specific position, but we do know and we've agreed that there's a real need of women leaders within the party, and to also foster the women leaders to come and join the political sphere. So wherever I'll fit in, and I'm saying it sincerely, I will. At this stage, I just decided this is really what the vision of Sarah was. It's better expressed within MK. I want to express myself politically within MK, and that's what I'm going to be negotiating for. I bring onto the table skills, expertise, experience, whether in corporate and in private sector, even in government. I've been in positions of leadership, qualified, and that's what they're looking for. So I would like a place where I can be able to express that at value, whether it's in the management of the party or administration of the party, or in a position in the legislature at this stage, provincial legislature or member of parliament. But I would like to be in a place where I'm able to be express my leadership, inspire other women to come in and join, and assist to build this MK party.
Okay, how big an appeal is Jacob Zuma to you in terms of you effectively effecting the second most significant, what I call political transfer of the season? I've said Floyd Shivambu was the first one.
Look, I think what President Jacob Zuma has built through MK party shocked all of us. We didn't expect it, but it's been commendable. A party maybe of 9 months or so, and managed to do what it did. Some of us tried, and I'm saying this with much respect because I tried. I was leading a party almost at the same time. We could not even achieve a quarter of what MK party has achieved. So that tells you that there's something about the man. We've sat with him, we've listened to the vision that he has, and I, as I said, I bought into that, the unity of Africans, the unity of political leaders, and the progressive force in this country. That appeals to me, and clearly it is appealed to, millions of people in South Africa. It's appealing to different political parties. You'll see there's a lot of parties and leaders that will be joining as well, coming to support MK party. But what stands out for me is that nothing stopped, whether it's ANC or any other party, to do the same, to say, we are open for consolidation. We want to talk to those that feel they can contribute to the country, volunteer themselves, be part of what we want to put as solutions. No one is doing that. It's only MK party that has opened its arms for
But you see, the ANC may be saying they also doing that, and that is what the government of national unity is, right? I've noticed you have described the GNU as collaborators. Explain that.
Look, I have a different view when it comes to the government of national unity, because I don't subscribe to formations that are anti this particular person, you're anti this organization. That's definitely not a national unity. If you are going to form a unity because you want to exclude EFF, you want to exclude MK party, what are you saying? If you are going to be a hypocrite that says the biggest party must lead, and then you get to KZN, you do the opposite, I think it's hypocrisy. And I can't subscribe to that. So the principles are totally, completely wrong. And for us, we believe in the consolidation, the unity of everybody that would like to contribute and add value, and are bought into that vision of uplifting the black child, fighting unemployment to the best of possible way. Go out there and find the people that want to contribute with the best skills, open up. Because some people don't even know how to join politics.
All right. What
they
for
don't,
you?
And they can contribute.
Okay, what for you? How do you explain the rapid growth of the MK party? I mean, what's your understanding? You gave the example of your party, your previous party, but what for you? Why would you think there's such support for the MK party so quickly?
Look, people are yearning for what the MK party stands for, and they have responded positively. They are yearning for a different kind of leadership in this country, and that's why they have responded to that. So that tells you that there was a gap that ANC is not feeling, or any other party, or we could not even feel, as different parties thinking, we are bringing a fresh way of looking at it. People are looking for an organization that represent their aspirations, especially as black people, that is close to the liberation movement, but without perhaps what they think the liberation liberation movement at this stage represents, you know, and it has evolved itself to
What
be.
about, so very, very quickly, we're going to have to wrap up. What about members of the South African Rainbow Alliance? Are you taking them across as well? Have you convinced them enough to say, let's throw in our weight together on one big party?
Indeed, some of them are convinced, they are happy, they want to join, they are coming with. There are those that for whatever personal reasons or political reasons, they are not keen on joining. But, you know, I always say I've had perhaps the benefit of 3 months to mull over this, think about it, ask questions, go to maybe 5, 6, 7 meetings with the leadership of MK and the president. They only found out some of them last week, some of them this week. And sometimes it takes time to make those kind of decisions. And they might wake up, you know, to say maybe in a week, 2 weeks, whatever, you know, with the leadership that's left there, say, come, let us consolidate into MK.
Okay. Let's
you know, so those are open for them to make decisions.
We need to wrap up. Here's a very quick soundbite answer. What would be the shape of South Africa after the next general election? A very quick answer.
MK party will be in government and will be able to change the constitution to make sure that it responds to the needs of all South Africans, especially black South Africans, Africans who want opportunity, equality, and to progress in their own land.
And that's the thoughts of Colleen Makubele, now of the MK party. Thank you for joining us and connecting to the National Pulse.
Thank you, Ashraf. I appreciate it.
Makoti Down Products is a proudly South African family business, started more than 30 years ago with 12 geese and a piece of material. Makoti manufactures duvets, pillows, sleeping bags, and high-quality Egyptian cotton linen. Our down products are suitable for people with dust mite allergies and come with a lifelong guarantee. And we offer a nationwide cleaning service for all your feather and down products. Visit us at makoti.co.za or call us on 041 9922 395. For quality down, Makoti Down.
Every day our children are exposed to relentless marketing of unhealthy foods where they live, learn and play. This aggressive marketing of unhealthy foods to children can shape their eating habits and food preferences for the rest of their lives. I'm your host, Crystal Audison. Is big food stalking our children? Watch Chew on This on healer.org.
Weeknights on S3 are all about winning, and winning big with Wheel of Fortune. For the first time in South Africa, Wheel of Fortune is on S3, Monday to Friday at 7:30 p.m., where Rorisang has South Africans locked into the world of word puzzles. Watch contestants spin the wheel to stand a chance of walking away with 100,000 Rand, or a car valued at over 500,000 Rand. You can also be part of the show and win big. To be part of the show, log on to wheeloffortunesa.tv and let the wheel decide your fate. Channel your inner wordsmith with Wheel of Fortune SA on S3. Open up.
SA Women Struggles Journal. Hashtag Women's Month.
Celebrating 30 years of democracy towards women's development, SAFM celebrates the power, resilience and brilliance of women. It's Women's Month and we're honoring the incredible contributions of women in our communities, our workplaces and our homes. Join SAFM in recognizing the achievements, strengths and spirit of women everywhere. Let's uplift and empower each other today and every day. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You are listening to the National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
Tell you, we're talking about coalition politics. Tomorrow, Paul Mashatile, the deputy president, will be the guest of Oliver Dixon tomorrow. So tomorrow from 6 to 9 on the SAFM Breakfast Show. Listen out for that. And by the way, on our Friday fireside chat, well, my guest is Naledi Pandor. Listen out for that. Right, let's move on to other issues, certainly around the issues of Zimbabwe now. In fact, we'll get to the issue of Zimbabwe in a moment. Sokolo is on the line from Harry Smith. Hi. Sokolo, go ahead. Hi.
Are you right?
I'm all right. Yeah, I certainly can.
Ashraf, please, guys. You know, I even asked last time that people, why are you wasting our time to bring people who are useless on the air to come and tell us why he joined in this party, why he left that party. Why can't you please, guys, bring people who are in power, people like Mackenzie, people who can come and tell us as he or she is in office what he's going to do. So I don't see any reason why you must bring those people who can come and tell us why he joined this party, why he left that party. Guys, can you do us a favor and bring people who are in power so that you can ask questions? What is going?
All right, I heard you. Okay, I heard
Please,
you. Let me answer you. I mean, with Gayton and company, I mean, often we put out leads. You may have heard we got Naledi Pandor tomorrow afternoon, who's going to talk to us. Tuli Moransela coming up just now. I know she's not a politician, but sometimes they're just not available. In terms of the person that you're referring to, are you actually suggesting to me that we must ignore the fact that Colleen Makubele has left her own party and moved to the MK party and ignore it like it's not important, it's not news, there's no significance? I battle with that, I can tell you that much. But in terms of Gayton talking to him, would absolutely love to. I concur with you on that one. Okay, let's see. In fact, I could probably chat to my guest right away. So it's part of the daily Global Watch feature we have. And Zimbabwe is where we go to. Some members of the ZANU-PF are, well, calling for the country's constitutional amendments to enable current President Emmerson Mnangagwa to continue to lead beyond 2028. So under the current situation, the president can serve a maximum of 2 5-year terms. That's similar to South Africa and many other countries in the world as well. So what does this really mean? Dr. William Jethro Impofu is with me, political analyst and senior research associate at the Good Governance Africa organization. Dr. Impofu, appreciate your time. Thanks for connecting on the National Pulse.
Thank you so much, and greetings to your audience. I also appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. So first of all, how realistic is this? You know, scrapping the 2 terms, and then we'll talk about the why. Is it a realistic possibility?
It's also very dangerous.
Okay, do I have you there still?
A coup begets a coup. So what caused Robert Mugabe to be dethroned in a coup was his attempt to ignore the constitution of the country and to violate the constitution of his own political party and seek to create a political dynasty where he would choose from amongst his friends, or family who was going to succeed him. That led the army, followed by some politicians, to conduct the military coup of 2017. So we see the same pattern coming up, that the incumbent, in shape of Emmerson Mnangagwa, is also doing the same thing of wishing to violate the constitution of the country and violate the constitution of his own political party. And the danger that puts Zimbabwe in, the Southern African region in, and the African continent in, is another military coup and another unconstitutional takeover of power.
Okay,
I think that's what should concern and worry us.
Okay, who's driving it? Is it Mnangagwa himself, or it talks about some ZANU-PF supporters? So it's not all. I mean, who are the people driving it?
In appearance, it's like some supporters, but as you as well might know, there's no way ordinary supporters of a politician and of a political party can drive such an unconstitutional and dangerous campaign without the overt or covert support of the incumbent who stands to benefit from that move. Politically, we know that it's Mnangagwa himself that is behind that call.
Okay, but has he said anything himself? Has he pronounced on it?
Yes, he used to say in rallies that 2023 I'm going to be there, or 2023 Nenge Tripo, which means I'm going to be there. But in one gathering recently, he said he's going to abide by the constitution and not seek a 3rd term. But soon after that, That's when the calls from these supporters multiplied and amplified, them saying, we want him to continue, we will persuade him to continue, which is a political stratagem or a political strategy to make it look like the call is coming from the people, from the party members, from the supporters, from Zimbabweans, and not from himself as a person.
Okay, just the last thing very quickly, we're on to news time. Has there been any opposition to this move from within ZANU-PF?
Exactly. Some more veterans have come out to oppose it. The vice president of the country and of the political party has not in so many words indicated that Zimbabweans and ZANU-PF supporters and members should respect the constitution more than respecting individuals, which was a political suggestion that he and his supporters within the party and outside are opposed to the move.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Dr. William Jethro Impofu, appreciate your time. Let's see where Zimbabwe goes after this. Let's get the news headlines now. It's just gone 3:30. Here's Madupi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garda, and a very good afternoon. In your headlines this hour, the ANC in Tshwane has withdrawn tomorrow's planned motion of no confidence against the executive mayor, Silius Brink. The MK party has won Ward 45 in the by-elections in Rustenburg in the northwest, and China's leader Xi Jinping has met the visiting U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in an indication of warmer ties between the two countries. And those are your headlines. A full news update at 4.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the Springboks will host the All Blacks at Emirates Airline Park in central Johannesburg on Saturday at 5 minutes after 5. Extensive road closures and traffic restrictions will be in place around the venue. The N3 northbound in Bedfordview is slow moving. That's on the link to the N12 east at Giluli's interchange. In KZN, the N3 westbound has a stationary vehicle after Spaghetti Junction, and Umgeni Road westbound is slow moving through Springfield Park. In Mpumalanga, the N4 has a crash recovery underway between Coopersdal and Strijdom-Blok. In Cape Town, the N2 westbound has a crash reported near Muway. Voortrekker Road westbound is slow moving through Maitland, and Forest Drive in Pinelands slow moving at St. Stephen's Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
Someone said, why don't we get Gator on? We have our own Minister of Sport in studio. Tumi, good chatting to you as always. Let's talk Bafana.
A very good afternoon to you, Ashraf, and our listeners. Yes, Bafana coach Hugo Bruce has announced a 23-man squad with a mixture of experience and youth to face Uganda and South Sudan in the upcoming 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Notably, new Kaizer Chiefs signing Rashford Dotli, who was not in the preliminary squad, is brought in for the first time in place of Given Simango. Meanwhile, Pirates midfielder Talente Mbata also gets his maiden national team call-up. Among those missing out from the previous squad that drew with Nigeria are forward Percy Tau and Batusi Obas. In defence, Ronan Williams misses out through injury as another Buccaneer in Sipho Chaine steps in to compete with regulars Ricardo Goss and Veli Motwa. Bafana host Uganda on Friday the 6th of September at Orlando Stadium before travelling to Juba to take on South Sudan on the 10th of September. Both games will be live on SABC Sport, the first one starting at 6 p.m. and the second one at 3 p.m. South African time. In the meantime, Real Madrid forward Vinicius Jr. says that he and his teammates will leave the pitch if they face any more racism this season. The Brazil forward broke down in a press conference earlier this year when talking about the abuse that he has encountered, saying that he felt less and less like playing football. And now Vinicius Jr. says that Real will walk off if they need to this season. 3 Valencia fans were recently sentenced to 8 months in prison for abusing the front man at a match on the 21st of May 2023. Then moving on to athletics news, Olympic relay star Bayanda Walaza claimed the under-20 men's world 100-meter crown in Lima this morning with his Paris teammate Bradley Nkwana taking bronze. Walaza clocked 10.9 19 seconds, with Nkwana finishing third in 10.26 seconds. South Africa now has 3 medals and was lying joint third on the medals table after 2 days of competition in Peru.
It feels great. At this point, it feels great to be Walaza. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited. I don't know. I have mixed emotions. Excited, happy. There's a lot. Yeah, this is a true moment. Like it's happening. My future plan is to carry on with studying, continue running, and then we'll see.
Moving on to cricket, New Zealand have roped in former pacer Jacob Oram as their bowling coach ahead of the grueling 3-test away series against India, a much-anticipated showdown in the ongoing World Test Championship cycle. The imposing right-arm pacer, who will take charge on the 7th of October, has played 3 Cricket World Cups and 4 T20 World Cups, and he brings in a wealth of experience to the Black Caps that is coached by Gary Stead. Then finally, in tennis, defending champion Novak Djokovic says that he's quite grateful that he's still able to compete at the highest level at his age. Djokovic raked up his 90th win at the US Open yesterday by defeating Serb compatriot Laslo Djere, who retired in the third set of the second round clash. Djokovic, a 4-time champion at the tournament, is seeking a record 25th Grand Slam title.
I guess it's a fine line, between feeling the jitters that are kind of making you really anxious and nervous coming out on the court, and also feeling of excitement. That's what I'm trying to draw, I guess, and find every time I am about to play a tournament or step out on the court. I mean, it doesn't get bigger than this in terms of a tennis stage. The atmosphere is incredible. I mean, it's a great privilege to be able to play again. At my age, just try to keep pushing the bar a little bit more for the young guys and see how far I can go.
With that said, it's a wrap from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour.
So what about our 100-meter runner, who's won the World Championships? He's something else, eh?
He is. He's one to look out for in terms of the future. And they've been saying anyway that he's one for the future and he's doing well, keeping up with his performance from the Olympics and just taking it forth to the next level as per usual. So looking forward to seeing how else he's going to do throughout the year.
Well, if he's looked after and that trajectory, the upward trajectory continues, we could be in for a feast.
Absolutely.
I just wish that happens. Olympic gold one day for himself in the 100 meters. Why can't we dream that?
It's
Absolutely.
Coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Right, Jimmy, you work out how much you need to pay him when he gets gold because you are the Minister of Sport. We will have another chat in an hour's time. Yeah.
At Specsavers, we're committed to offering affordable and professional eye care. That's why we're offering 1,500 Rand worth of savings with our winter promotion. Get a free frame up to the value of 1,500 Rand or use the 1,500 Rand on one of our leading lens enhancements. To qualify, simply purchase a comprehensive eye examination and prescription frame and lenses. Book online or call your nearest store today. Specsavers for affordable eye care and a whole lot more. T's and C's apply.
Oscar and Emmy winner Kevin Costner is John Dutton, a 6th-generation homesteader and devoted father. John controls the largest contiguous ranch in the United States, operating in a corrupt world where politicians are compromised by influential oil and lumber corporations and where land grabs make developers billions. Shifting alliances, unsolved murders, open wounds, and hard-earned respect puts Dutton's property in constant conflict with those it borders, an expanding town, an Indian reservation, and America's first national park. Channel your inner drama with Yellowstone, Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
Hey Mike, congratulations on your retirement.
Thanks, Andile. Are you preparing for it?
Yes, but not just for myself.
For you and?
For me and my employees.
Oh.
Since we moved to Old Mutual Corporate, their retirement funds have not only been safe and secure, but gaining competitive returns through exposure to diverse investment markets.
Impressive.
Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Right, what words come to mind when you hear the titles like Kim Sam, Generations, The Legacy, and Uzalo? I mean, you have some certain words, I know that, right? So what about royalty, classics, the stars, and drama? Now, SABC 1 proudly brings you the 7th Royalty Soapy Awards, awarding excellence in the soapies genre across all of Mzansi's broadcasters. So tune in for the glitz and the glamour. And this happens on Saturday, 31st of August from 8 p.m. only on SABC 1. Mzansi for sure.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Okay, let's get to your thoughts, because clearly you have your own opinion about what for you moves the National Pulse today. Certainly many people want to talk about the fact that we now have Colleen Makubele who's moved on to the MK party. KG, what's your view?
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you.
I just wish you could have asked her why the choice of this party specifically.
I think she answered that. She said there's appeal. She found that there's appeal in this party that it will be the party of transformation. She volunteered that up front.
Is it transformation, Ashraf, when we keep on hearing black? I'm very worried. One of these days, we are going to sit with a very big problem. I don't know what is causing this thing. You've got people moving to a direction where they emphasize a lot of black. And on the other hand, you have the likes of AfriForum emphasizing the opposite. When around about this time 30 years ago, we were imagining a South Africa that will be, belonging to everybody regardless of what or how they look like. So that is just what I'm worried about. And I'm just hoping people in power, those, if there's something that is done by the others who own and control the means of production, that is enticing people to move to the other direction. I hope they stop doing that. Because one of these days, when the ship sinks, believe me, it is going to take you and I and the rest of us with.
Okay, I got that. So I hear your first part and lots of concerns. I certainly like to move away from sort of black-white divisions all the time, but those are certain realities that we must face. So thank you for that, KG. Right. Okay, I'll pick out some of the voice notes that you have. And by the way, if you want to join the WhatsApp, the National Pulse channel, just WhatsApp. I should just tell us, join channel. And clearly there are more thoughts on that move, right?
Good afternoon, Ashraf and the rest of the team. And congratulations to Comrade Colleen Makubele for joining Umkhondo Wesizwe. I'm not surprised about her move. I saw this move coming. Colleen is a credible leader, fearless leader, visionary leader who is going to add value at Umkhondo Wesizwe. And she's joining the best of the best in Bufuledi Shibambu and others in Umkhondo Wesizwe. Thank you, Ashraf.
Okay, got that. So there you are. There's certainly lots of confidence in Colleen Makubele. Let's see how that plays out in terms of the position. I mean, she said again, no positions offered, but there's also an appeal for Jacob Zuma. There's an appeal for the former president. Whatever you may think about it, we can debate at length whether he should even be the leader in the first place, but there's clearly appeal for that. Okay, let's see if I can pick out a few more voice notes that we have. And again, it links to the, party politics.
Hi, Ashraf. Willie here in Kuma. Ashraf, politicians are dichotomous and pathological liars. This lady now recently, she was praising her party, that Sarah, and then you see talking so nicely about its stance and so on and so on. And now suddenly she is crossing the floor, and then she's for the positions over there, all of them. And then that is going to cause conflict with the people who have been there before, who want also to be positioned in MK. Thanks, Willie in Kuma.
Right, thank you for that. Let's get to other calls. Alfred has in fact, we're going to go to, we got an anonymous caller firstly. Let's get anonymous. Hi, anonymous.
Hey, Father, how are you, man?
I'm good indeed. It's strange calling you anonymous, but fine, I'll do that. Go ahead, what's your point?
No, I'm just surprised and shocked with that all of a sudden the Zuma MK is the solution to what's going on in South Africa. I'm surprised by that by the people who have those opinions. Did they forget what happened in Zuma's presidency? Did they forget the findings of state capture? And half of the leadership that MK, they are implicated somehow in something wrong. Are our people blind, or I don't know what's happening with us South Africans? Is that what we want to be represented in?
Well, I hear you. I can't speak on behalf of other people. I don't know. But I mean, you're quite right. They appear to have forgotten so many things that also went wrong in South Africa under Zuma's leadership. I mean, you can't just wipe that away as if it never happened, isn't it? Okay, thank you for that call, Anonymous. Let's get Alfred's comments. In fact, what we'll do, Alfred will come to you in a moment. There's more voice notes I want to pick up, and it's very linked to the similar ones we had just now.
How can we allow crooks to run our country again, Ashraf? It's not right. I mean, people are fed up. We are fed up of what's going on right now. I mean, there's so many murder rates in our country, and we allow these crooks to go back into parliament. It cannot be happening. I'm sorry. I think, I don't know what is wrong with these African people. Why do they keep on voting these people into power? And most of these people, they are foreigners that's got citizenship here, and they are the ones that are really
I don't know what you mean by that.
Thing forward.
But wait, I'm not trying.
We had enough now, man. Enough we had. We had enough.
Okay, I'm trying to understand. You're saying African people, then you're saying foreigners. What do you mean by that? Oh, you're gone. Okay. That one's gone too. I wonder. Here's another one that I'll pick up.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Ashraf, I've got a question here. Out of all these South African politicians with political parties of different ideologies and so forth, who is clean? What is the difference between Umkhonto weSizwe and all these other political parties, including ANC? What is the difference? Because we are saying Umkhonto weSizwe, they are criminals. But ANC criminals are coming out bit by bit. There are criminals there. Who did not steal? Who is clean? For us to judge Umkhonto weSizwe and these political members, who is clean in South Africa? Tell me who is clean.
Well, I hear you. I also hear you, because the question is, what is leadership, and how do we know what's good, effective leadership? And that conversation, we can have a 2-hour conversation and still not have an answer on that one. Thank you for that. Perhaps I'll put that question to my next guest, who just happens to be Professor Thuli Madonsela. She will talk about a range of issues linked to VBS, linked to political leadership, linked to the role of the media, particularly around the Minister of Justice and the calls for her to resign, step aside. We'll talk about all of that right after this.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's Elimination Week, and the bottom 6 must bake their ultimate cookie and milkshake pairing. It's a match made in heaven, but will they perfect their flavor combinations under pressure? Take part in the weekly viewers competition and stand a chance of winning a classic stand mixer to the value of 10,000 Rand. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7. Repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
Need a loan? Pay for what you need when you need it with a personal loan from Nedbank. And if you open a MyGoals Plus or MyGoals Premium account, you can enjoy 200 Rand cashback every month for the duration of your loan. That's 200 Rand every month to buy extra groceries or save for a rainy day. Visit nedbank.co.za and join the bank that's best for your loans. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Big ups to all the women of Africa Dzonga. Incredible characters in various fields. When you set your mind onto something, your winning mentality is difficult to defeat. On and off the field. Your excellence in the world of sport speaks volumes. You are the great inspiration to the nation. Happy Women's Month, courtesy of SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
You are listening to the National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
So I'm looking at a tweet, and the tweet says, excited to finally make it for your amazing show, Ashraf Garda. I look forward to the interview on SAFM Radio. And that comes from Prof. Thuli Madonsela. So what took you so long, Prof. Thuli? Hi.
our stars just didn't align, but what a privilege to finally make it on the show.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad we can talk now, certainly, right. Having said that, I mean, we certainly can talk about lots of issues to pick your brain, that very, very current affairs issues. Firstly, let's talk about the most topical one, the issue of the Minister of Justice regarding, that loan and how, and different positions in terms of how this issue should be handled. What are your thoughts?
Well, there's two things, Ashraf. Firstly, I don't know the minister personally, and I think I've only met her once in person, quite recently. Again, in the middle of other people, we never had a private conversation, and if I'm just entering the fray as a lawyer. The second thing is I applaud the work that Polly has been doing over the years, because without journalists writing with pencil in darkness, we would never know what's hiding there. What I'm cautioning against, though, is not to quickly connect the dots. I think we have to raise questions, but I saw a video where it specifically said this is a corrupt deal, and I had a problem with that because I investigated Malema and ended up on the point of tenders. I couldn't make a finding of corruption. I couldn't make a finding of corruption against President Zuma. State capture, before moving the investigation to Judge Rondo, I could see that the questions were matters, but without the evidence, I couldn't make through a link between those thoughts. Okay, so I applaud the work, but let's not condemn without evidence.
Okay, so let's take specifically your position regarding Paulie van Wyk. It wasn't particularly clear. You're suggesting she's done fabulous work, but are you suggesting that she, and in many ways she represents the media, is jumping the gun on this issue? And if so, what should her position be?
Well, her position should be to raise questions, which she does, but in the video, and the article specifically says this bill is corrupt, and I think that is moving too fast. But having said that, journalists are different from lawyers and public protectors and judges. With journalists, you can call it, even with limited evidence, but just again be careful to avoid a defamation suit. On the other hand, if we are now coming in as members of the public, we can't just say because you got a loan from somebody who was part of the bill, it is automatic that you were being bought for something. And also we have to look at VBS on a timeline. There's a part where the first part is investment in VBS, where the transgression there is not that it's corrupt. The transgression there is why are you doing something that is so burdened by the PFMA and that's forbidden by the law? Because it's not a bank. This is there's a word for banks like VBS. So that's the first part. The corruption comes after that was questioned, and they bring people into the party to silence them, to silence the questions, and also how the money itself was used, instead of it being properly invested like any other investment, which would just be only a PFMA violation. Okay. The money was just stolen.
So you're saying you would be personally very hesitant to use the word corrupt, even though a lot of it may lead to something very, very cagey. You won't do that, right? Now, I hear what you're saying. You've mentioned Paulie van Wyk too. What then are your feelings regarding the call to the president to get the Minister of Justice to resign, to step aside, to do whatever is in their powers, A, is from the ANC point of view, but B, from the president of the country?
I think firstly it's too early, but I'm also worried. Why now? The minister has just indicated that she is intending to clamp down on corruption in the masters. She's also indicated that she's intending to implement the Equality Act. For 5 years, she was Minister of Local Government. She was one of the most liked ministers in the country. Why this sudden aggression towards her?
Well, maybe would you like to speculate an answer? Because you would know, in your position as the former public protector, just how your pronouncements carry so much, political weight, right? What do you think that, who would be behind this, the why now?
I just am worried that she has announced that she's going for the crooks that have been looting the funds of small businesses that are prematurely put on a provisional liquidation, and then having their assets stripped, and then they die naturally. So she's claiming on the masters. So far, anybody who has tried to end corruption in the masters ended up without a job. Do you remember Mike Chishonga? Yes.
Yeah.
So that corruption there, one of my reports is they called it justice. That lady ended up without a job as well. So it's been an area where there is a network of corrupt people that prey on the most vulnerable in society. And then, of course, there's been people who have been preventing Chapter 5 of the Equality Act from being implemented for 24 full years. Because their understanding is that magically, by having a constitution that says we are all equal, we became equal, regardless of the legacy of apartheid. And they think just having anti-discrimination, which deals with transactional discrimination, is enough. A systemic approach to erode the legacy of the past, they think that's not necessary. So I'm not saying this is the reason. I am just saying she's been the most liked person when she was in local government. She gets in, she touches these matters where there's so much vested interest in, and suddenly there is this. But having said that, I applaud Polly for whatever she got from the whistleblower, investigating it and telling us about it. And I would like her to continue to do her work without fear, favor. Having said that, let's not rush into conclusion.
Okay, so you're saying there are processes. In terms of the president, therefore, asking for a full disclosure now from the Minister of Justice, would that be simply step one as opposed to an ultimatum?
Absolutely. Accountability is important. That's why I wasn't shutting Polly, because without the media, without them lighting candles, democracy would die.
What about, Prof. Tuli, the position where, again, to use it, where you could say a journalist would either in an actual piece or a tweet call someone out as corrupt, right? How much weight does that carry in shaping public opinion? And we've had examples of this current case. There's been many issues around some of the EFF leadership with regard to VBS, and there's been many other political heavyweights, right? And even if they haven't been convicted, just the words that are being used in media spaces thrown out, to what degree does that actually have the currency to shape public opinion and maybe to reshape public opinion?
Well, the media has enormous power to shape public opinion. It tells us what to prioritize. It tells us what to think. It tells us who to trust and who not to trust. And therefore, it's important that that power be used, but it has to be used judiciously. That said, there's a difference, though, between a case where you are convicting on circumstantial evidence and a case where you are saying, no, here is an affidavit, here are emails that are saying this person asked so-and-so to do this. And because they asked them to do this, and then the deal was done. In this particular case, we've not been told about any meeting, any email, anything whatsoever that suggests that this minister has anything to do with the VBS, other than the confluence of what appears to be a loan, or what we've been told is a loan until we see her side of the story. Other than the confluence of that and the timing of the VBS transaction, we have nothing. And in a case like that, therefore, I honestly think it's unfair to rush and say...
Okay, yeah, I got that.
There may be, I just don't know.
Fair enough. Right, we're on to news time, so maybe just one quick soundbite answer. What for you is the big lesson to learn from what you know about regarding the entire VBS saga?
So what I do know is that the first part of BBS was a maladministration rather than corruption. That the municipalities made this investment when the law did not allow them, whether they knew that or didn't know that. That's something that is being investigated. But what then followed thereafter was a feeding frenzy with those people's hard-earned money from Gogo Dlamini, mostly from Limpopo, in the Vende region, were used for luxurious things, with people having fun at the expense of people. And in the end, the banks closed down and people lost their money. And that said, it's going to just be important that people check a little bit who's giving you money, if it's giving you money, and could that money be tainted. And it's not this loan, but I'm just talking about people there who specifically got money from the bank itself.
All right, let's leave it at that. Thank you for that. Probably have another conversation sometime soon. Appreciate your time today. Maybe day one on the National Pulse. Maybe there'll be more. I'm sure there will be. Prof. Thuli Madonsela, now Law Trust Chair in Social Justice and Law Professor at the University of Stellenbosch. Let's get the news now. Yes, Madupi.
Thank you very much, Tate Ashraf. The top stories this hour: the ANC withdraws a no-confidence vote against Tshwane Mayor, and the MK Party wins a by-election in Rustenburg. A very good afternoon. The ANC in Tshwane has withdrawn tomorrow's planned motion of no confidence against Executive Mayor Silias Brink. This follows an urgent application by Brink filed this morning in the High Court in Pretoria to have the motion blocked. He argued that it is unlawful and is entitled to sufficient time to respond to the issues raised. The motion by the ANC is supported by the EFF, Action SA, COPE, ATM, ACDP, AIC, and the Good Party. The parties say Brink has failed to rescue the city, with service delivery worsening under his leadership. Here's the ANC's George Majila.
We are respecting the legal issues that are pending, and within a period of 2 weeks, we think we'll be able to come back and conclude the business. We have agreed in principle that the motion that has been put is going to be temporarily withdrawn so that we deal with the side issues that are creating an impediment for all of us. But for sure, in 14 days, we'll be back.
The MK Party has won Ward 45 in the by-elections in Rustenburg in the northwest. They won 43% of the vote. The ANC and the EFF were also contesting the ward. Thabiso Molefe is the ward's new councillor. The ward was previously an ANC stronghold. The Electoral Commission's Dr. Dumelon Tletiba confirmed the victory.
Two of the by-elections were caused by death of councillors, the Rustenburg one and the Moretile one. Both Madibe by-elections were as a result of resignation. In Rustenburg, the party that won the by-election was the Umkhonto Wesizwe party, and the ward was originally an ANC ward.
The Pietermaritzburg High Court has agreed to provide reasons to former President Jacob Zuma's legal team on why it dismissed the application for the recusal of lead prosecutor Billy Downer in the arms deal corruption case. Acting for Zuma, Advocate Dalimpofu told the court that they need the reasons for the ruling in order to apply for leave to appeal the decision not to remove Downer. Zuma and arms manufacturer Thales are being charged with corruption, racketeering, money laundering, and fraud. Zuma says Downer is not fit to lead the prosecution because he's not impartial. The court will hand down its reasons on September 11th. Deputy Transport Minister Mkhuleko Hlengwa says the process of identifying the remaining 8 bodies of people who died in a bus crash in Louis Trichardt, Limpopo is underway. 10 people died in the crash on the N1 in Louis Trichardt on Tuesday night. The deceased are 5 women and 5 men, all Zimbabweans. Hlengwa says they'll be working with Zimbabwean authorities to repatriate the bodies. He also says that some of the bereaved families have started arriving in the country.
Currently, the situation, of course, is that bodies are being identified. The Consul General has informed me that 2 have been positively identified by families yesterday, and 2 families have arrived a short while ago as well. And from here, we're proceeding to ensuring that they are able to successfully identify the deceased as well.
And China's leader Xi Jinping has met the visiting U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in an indication of warmer ties between the two countries. Jinping says China is committed to stable relations with the U.S. Sullivan has been in Beijing for high-level talks for 3 days now. He says America has deliberately tried to increase diplomatic contact with China.
This was a true working visit. Over the course of 14 hours of meetings, we discussed progress and next steps on implementation of the Woodside commitments, including our work on counter-narcotics and efforts to reduce the flow of illicit synthetic drugs into the United States. We believe that keeping lines of communication open is critical, and we began planning towards a leader-level call in the coming weeks, where I expect these discussions to continue.
The top story at 4 o'clock, the ANC in Tshwane has withdrawn tomorrow's planned motion of no confidence against the executive mayor, Silius Brink. For SAFM News, Kemudupi Makhalemeli.
In sports, the South Hollywood Bets sponsors Women's Cricket Pro League, and Rampadi looking to make tennis history on the Paris Paralympic courts. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in central Johannesburg, slow moving towards Crown Interchange. Catherine Street northbound in Sandton has delays towards Grayston Drive. Klookhoek Road eastbound has delays towards Zeerfontein Avenue. In Pretoria, Francis Bard Street eastbound is queuing towards the N1 highway, and Stormfall Road westbound has a crash reported before Derdepoort Road. In KZN, the N2 southbound has roadworks reported with traffic restrictions between Umgeni Road and Spaghetti Junction. Kassie Road in Hillcrest has roadworks with traffic restrictions between the M13 and the N3 highways. And the N3 has roadworks with traffic restrictions between Lions River and Balgowan. In Cape Town, the N2 westbound has a crash reported near Muway, queuing traffic in both ways. The M5 southbound is slow moving towards Klipfontein Road. The M3 southbound is slow moving towards Rhodes Drive, and the N7 Jakes Hadwell Drive southbound slow moving at Voortrekker Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Stay safe on the roads. SAFM is with you.
Welcome to the team, Andile.
Thank you.
What will be your first order of business?
Well, ensuring our greatest assets are taken care of.
Our vehicle fleet?
No, our employees. You see, I want them to feel confident in our company's employee benefits, and Old Mutual Corporate is perfect for that. They take care of everything, from retirement benefits to health and group risk solutions, consulting, and more.
Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Big ups to all the women of Africa Dzonga. Incredible characters in various fields. When you set your mind onto something, your winning mentality is difficult to defeat. On and off the field. Your excellence in the world of sport speaks volumes. You are the great inspiration to the nation. Happy Women's Month, courtesy of SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Here he comes. Hello, guys. You're so dramatic. Hey, bro, it's not me. It's the extra styling kit. The leather seats with the red finish. It's the tow bar, all coming standard with my red Isuzu badge. Wow, now that is extra.
Why be standard when you can get the all-new Isuzu D-Max X Rider from just 8,742 Rand. Prime less 3.5%, 0% deposit, 40% balloon, and 72 months to pay. Get yours today. Finance is subject to approval. Isuzu Finance, a product of West Bank, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Right, in a moment or two, we'll chat to Funzi Ngubeni from Action SA to find out exactly what their position is regarding that coalition in the city of Tshwane. Lots to talk about ahead of the motion of no confidence against Celia Brink for tomorrow. So that comes up shortly. We'll also chat about the Springbok brand, just so why incredibly powerful is this brand. The most powerful, I would think, sporting brand in the country. Mike Sherman will give us his thoughts. That comes up. Mike Sharman, rather, gives us his thoughts. That comes up shortly. But let me get this off my chest, okay? So, I'm not going to mention names, but just think about it. Think of the various political parties and the many, many politicians that represent those parties in Parliament and often outside of Parliament. And then just think about how many of them have got some slur against their name. Some of them, allegations. Some of them have appeared in court. Some of them have been asked to step aside at times. Others have been discredited over a different period. And I'm really talking about across the board on the spectrum of political parties. Now, why am I saying this? Because they all have this in common, that ultimately, no matter what the issues are, they remain in positions of leadership in our country. So who put them there, who voted for them, and who's happy with them being there in the first place? And how long will they stay there, all of them? And the question we should be asking ourselves are, what is a leader? What do you expect from a leader? And what type of leadership do you expect that leader to display when he or she is actually leading? And perhaps here's another one. When does a leader stop leading? Think about that. That's my point. Now, what's yours?
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Someone tweeted along saying, Ashraf, this show is on fire today. Well, you know what? We don't actually light any fires. We simply reflect the reality of the nation. But we do say we are the pulse of the nation. And that pulse rate is really going very, very high. We know that. And because there's so much happening. Those conversations, by the way, with Thuli Madonsela, the podcast of that will be up pretty shortly. And let me remind you as well, two things of importance linked to the issue of coalitions as well. The Deputy President of South Africa, right, Paul Mashatile, will be tomorrow's guest, Oliver Dixon's guest tomorrow morning on the SFM Breakfast Show. Listen out for that. And, on a Friday, we have this Friday fireside chat. Well, my guest is Naledi Pandor. Listen out for that. Okay, let's get to the current issues now. So, there's a motion that will be tabled tomorrow to remove the mayor of the city of Tshwane. And will they succeed? Won't they? There's been lots of talk about it. Let's find out from Action SA's Gauteng chairperson, Funzi Ngubeni. Good chatting to you and welcome to the National Pulse.
Oh, yeah, Ashraf, good afternoon and good afternoon to your listeners as well.
Thank you. Now, we chatted yesterday to a representative from, I think from Jackie Hayes, rather, from the DA. And today, before even talking to you, Celia Brink saying, I've just learned that Action SA's Tshwane caucus leader has told the media outside Tshwane House that the party is leaving the Tshwane multi-party coalition. I haven't received any notice to this effect, but in the light of what has happened up to this point, I can only assume that this is the party's position, a coalition that is making progress brought down for no clear reason, a betrayal of coalition partners and the people of Tshwane sabotaging the builders to let in the breakers. That's from a tweet from Celia Brink, who just happens to be the incumbent person in charge of that city, but it could and may not be in power tomorrow. Funzi, which parts of this statement do you not agree with?
Ashraf, look, let's firstly start by saying we welcome the note, the withdrawal of the motion by the ANC. And for us, it really gives us time, as we have been saying all along, that as a party, we are going through a review process of our position in Tshwane, and that review process is still underway. And the withdrawal of this motion, it's really aligned to what we really are going through, because then it gives also us enough time to be able to make up a decision that is informed, and that will be then communicated, accordingly to all the residents and all the members of Action SA. What has happened so far is that the consultation with our structures has happened, and it's continuing, and our structures have been quite clear, and that they will want to see us leaving this coalition, and that has been said to us many times before, especially after the elections and after the DA has left the NPC without really saying goodbye or telling us what's going to happen next. But the review has been started already that time when we came out of the election. So it's continuing, and we have not made up yet the decision as to which way we will go. That decision will be informed by the entire review itself.
All right. Let me just get some clarity on this, because the line's not the clearest, right? So I just want to be sure about it. And maybe I'm repeating myself in this thing. Regarding tomorrow's motion, will Action SA, are they participating? In which position are they taking regarding the motion?
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe the mic is not clear on your side, Ashraf, but I did mention that we welcome that the motion has been withdrawn. So the motion will not be tabled tomorrow by the ANC, and that's why I'm saying it's aligned to what we have been saying, that that we still need time to be able to process our review process, and then to be able to make up a position as Action SA that we will then communicate to everyone.
Okay, so I understand that. Okay, thanks for clearing that up. It wasn't very clear early on, just maybe with some muffled sound. Has the ANC indicated why they've withdrawn that motion?
Well, from what we understand is they've engaged their legal counsel, because we remember that the mayor will have mentioned that he's referring this matter, for legal process, and they've also taken a view, I think, ANC, to say that rather they withdraw the motion, consult their lawyers, and then consider putting the motion back later on.
Okay.
So that's what we understand.
I've got that.
I'm sure ANC can speak for themselves.
That's fair enough, right? Now, if I heard you correctly, you are suggesting that what happened post May 29 is going back to your structures that indicated, considering the many issues regarding the DA, that your structures have indicated that the Action SA should not be in a coalition with the DA in the city of Tshwane. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, I'm saying, this engagement with our structure started immediately after elections, after the Senate had met. And the Senate is the highest decision-making body of the party, and they would have done an assessment of the results of the election. And from that results of the elections, from that engagement of the Senate, there was a process of engaging our structures, our members on the ground, on the results themselves and why we performed so badly. And from those engagements with our structures, issues of coalition with the DA came up very strongly. And the fact that the DA will have left the multi-party charter, which we had joined the multi-party charter with them, and they would have left it without even saying goodbye. And our members will have said to us, we need to reconsider our relationship with the DA, and also reconsider the position that we held in the past, that we will not be talking to the ANC, and that we will only talk to this party and that party. Our members then said to us, as the leaders of Action SA, we are asking that we talk to everyone and see how we can be able to move the party forward.
I hear you. Would you say that your leadership in terms of your structures then suggested or implied that the Action SA's relationship with the DA, and then the DA leaving that coalition without notice, right, effectively cost Action SA votes?
Yeah, that's the sentiment that we are getting from our structures, Ashraf, and from our branches, from our regions, from the province, which I represent here in Gauteng. So that's the sentiment correctly that says, the DA has been acting dishonestly with Action SA. And also, even before elections, the same DA, when there were leaks in the newspapers that they were going into negotiation with the ANC, they always denied that and said those reports were incorrect, were false, they were taken out of context. But immediately after the election, they didn't even say goodbye to their partners in the multi-party charter. They just left without saying anything. So the sentiment in our structures was clearly saying, here you are dealing with a party that really doesn't care about their partners, doesn't care about Action SA. In fact, they want to liquidate Action SA.
Okay.
And they were saying to us, look, review the position, look at what is there, and that's what the process that we are taking.
All right. So picking up now what Celia Brink has tweeted, saying that he understands the Tshwane caucus leader has told media outside Tshwane House that the party is leaving the Tshwane multi-party coalition. And considering what you've actually said as well, I mean, can we take that as a given now that in fact Action SA has left the multi-party coalition with reference to Tshwane?
Not at all. The process is still underway, Ashraf. At the moment, what we have done as part of the review process is to engage our structures, which they've come out vehemently, clear that they will want us to leave the coalition. But that's not the end. I mean, we can't stop there. We are continuing with the engagement, and there will be other processes that will be underway, including looking at talking to residents of Tshwane as well.
Okay.
The people who are affected, the NGOs that are affected in Tshwane.
All right. And Futsi, if I can just ask you very quickly, we just need to move on very quickly with one answer. What is the appeal of the ANC now? Just a 20-second answer.
What is there?
What is the appeal of the ANC to the Action SA now compared to before? Just one line answer.
What is the appeal of the ANC to Action SA?
Yeah.
No. Ashraf, as I said at the beginning, we are engaging with all other parties, and we are not leaving the ANC out. We have engaged with the ANC even at the provincial level. In fact, our national leadership has been meeting with the ANC and talking about...
All right, let's leave it at that. Funzi, we're going to have to leave it at that. Thanks for joining us on the National Pulse.
Think bigger than just a banking partner. Think a team of specialized experts supporting you to make better financial decisions to enable your growth aspirations. Think a strategic partnership, providing indispensable advice to help you make the right moves. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. For more information, visit nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
Here he comes. Hello, guys. You're so dramatic. Hey, bro, it's not me. It's the extra styling kit. The leather seats with the red finish. It's the tow bar, all coming standard with my red Isuzu badge. Wow, now that is extra.
Why be standard when you can get the all-new Isuzu D-Max X-Rider from just 8,742 Rand. Prime less 3.5%, 0% deposit, 40% balloon, and 72 months to pay. Get yours today. Finance is subject to approval. Isuzu Finance, a product of Westbank, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Upgrade your TV game with the SABC TV License Rewards. It's your golden ticket to VIP treatment. Imagine signing up at sabctvlicenserewards.co.za, breezing through a few steps, and bam! Instant reward. Just for being you. Plus, pocket up to 500 Rand back. That's the cherry on top. But wait, it's not just about the cash. We're talking about sweet deals and epic rewards. Think discounts on all your favorite things, from shopping to travel and entertainment. Your payment unlocks a world of fun. So, why wait? Dive into the excitement. Join the SABC's TV License Rewards at sabctvlicenserewards.co.za. Hit those buttons and watch your TV experience level up. T's and C's apply. Remember, TV license fees aren't just payments, they make a difference.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, we should be chatting to Mike Sharman about the magic behind brand Springbok. As soon as Mike, the Springboks that is, as soon as Mike Sharman answers his call, we will certainly get him on air. In the meantime, let's get your thoughts. Tamba, you've got a view from Quebec. Hi.
Hi, Ashraf, how are you?
I'm very good indeed. Right, go ahead. What's your point?
Ashraf, I shouldn't be disappointed with Professor Thuli Madonsela's stance on the matter of Uma Musimelane. But I am disappointed because over and over, she came over this radio station to present herself as somebody who's totally opposed to corruption or anything that smells corruption.
Mm-hmm.
My view has always been she knows that she's not honest with South Africans. She's pushing a political agenda. She's informed of what she's doing, and it is now coming through. But I'm just disappointed in the fact that she takes us, in fact me, so for granted that I will not be able to see when she's telling a lie.
Okay, I got that. And again, we have such diversity of opinions. She did actually say, right, that she's not saying the person is not corrupt. She did say the processes must take its course before one actually pronounces publicly. That was the essence of her position. But you're actually saying there's a political agenda that she's got. What would that agenda be?
This agenda is to sustain the current status quo. Her agenda is to sustain the neoliberal system that has taken hold of the country. Her agenda is to ensure that the majority of South Africans remains below the poverty line, remains the beggars in their own country. I am not saying, Ashraf, corruption or what is perceived to have been a corruption under a particular president is promoted. I do not promote that.
Okay.
But she's made us to believe her standpoint, her principles. But now she's turning around because the sword now is pointing to her, colleagues or friends.
Okay. Well, she did actually say that Minister of Justice is never met her, if you heard that earlier on, by the way, right? Okay.
Forget about her English. Listen to what she's saying. Listen to the message, ultimate message that she's giving out to South Africa.
Okay, fine. I mean, you've given your view, and let's see what others say. Whether Thuli Madonsela has been too soft in pronouncing on the position of the Minister of Justice, or is she quite correct from a legal perspective of saying there are processes that must be followed before you pronounce publicly on these issues. So, Chamba, thank you for that. Let's get to another thought. Mike in PE, hi.
Afternoon, Ashraf. Just a quick one.
Yeah.
You see, I'm going to echo the same sentiments of the previous caller in the sense that selective morality is a very dangerous thing. If we are going to be selective on our morality. Now, when Madam Thuli was on, she was emphasizing the point that unless there is perhaps evidence of an email or etc., I can then turn it around and ask the question, can anyone give us one evidence, if I was to ask you, one evidence of what President Jacob Zuma stole from South Africa?
Okay.
Would you be able to do that?
Well, I'm not going to tell you on the air now because I don't have it in front of me, and then we'll just assume a lot of different things, which is essence of what she said. Let's not assume certain things. But I've got that, Mike. Thank you for that. And again, so here's the thought. I mean, what do you make of the conversation I had with Thuli Madonsela? What do you make of the conversation I also had with regarding Action SA and their position, as well as the conversation with Colleen Makubela? Because the show is the National Pulse. Your views, if we say what moves the pulse, you as the audience, you play a major role in driving just that, okay? Let's get to Anonymous Soldier. No, we'll get to Anonymous Soldier in just we'll get to you just now. Let's get to some of the voice notes. So here's another one on Thuli Madonsela.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Advocate Thuli Madonsela is a brilliant lady. But I think she's now speaking like this because of the Women's Month. And it's surprising that she is warning people not to put definition to other things. But throughout your conversation with her, she is describing certain things. Why does she get powers to describe when she's warning us not to give or define anything?
Okay, that's another thought, and I can tell you now the Thuli Madonsela conversations continue. But here's another one. You said, go ahead. Hi.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your point?
Yes. My point is that there was a listener yesterday who attacked you and said that you are. I think it was towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
And then that you are trying to be prescriptive, and then with regard to the issue of Dadamorero. That guy views are misplaced, because the issue is that you said, but Dadamorero apologized And then why can't we accept his apology? And then I agree with you on that one, because this issue of Tata Morero must lay to rest. I'm saying this because you once raised an important issue of, I don't know, is Rivaldo or what, the DA guy who insulted black people and never apologized.
Mm-hmm.
But now people said less about that white man. But now Dada Morero said something. I was upset with what Dada Morero said, but because he apologized, I accepted the apology in the same manner that you said that he apologized. What more else do we want from him now? What must he say?
Well,
when instead the white man insulted black people, called them with a K word that they must be killed, that guy never apologized.
Okay. We're going to move. We're on to news time, so I'm going to move on. I appreciate your call, and I hear what you're saying. Well, we in sync, you and I, on this issue, right? But and this is the thing: do you really want to have a mayor who's pronounced on something, who admits in one day, "I've made a mistake, I'm wrong, I'm sorry," right? Was reprimanded by his premier, and then says, "I'm sorry." Do you actually want the mayor to be fired for that and recalled? What does that do with the city of Joburg? I mean, let's just think about that. As far as Ronaldo Ghosh is concerned, that investigation, I believe, is still continuing, and I don't know how long. I've told Temba and Keys we need to get on top of that issue. It's just taking far too long, quite honestly. Let's get the news headlines. It's 4:30. Here's Madupi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garda. Good afternoon. In your headlines this hour, President Cyril Ramaphosa says South Africa is currently not in a position to immediately establish a sovereign wealth fund. The ANC in Tshwane has withdrawn tomorrow's planned motion of no confidence against Executive Mayor Celias Brink. And Human Rights Watch says both sides in the Sudan war have summarily executed, tortured, and ill-treated people in their custody. And those are your headlines. A full news update, 5 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the Springboks will host the All Blacks at Emirates Airline Park in central Johannesburg this coming Saturday, 5 minutes after 5. Extensive road closures and traffic restrictions will be in place around the venue. The N3 northbound in Bedfordview is slow moving on the link to the N12 east at Giluli's interchange. Main Reef Road westbound in Amalgam has a crash reported near Industrial Road. In Pretoria, the N14 northbound has delays towards the R101 interchange, and Stormfall Road westbound has a crash reported before Dardeput Road. In KZN, the N3 eastbound in Pietermaritzburg has a stationary vehicle reported after the New England Road exit. The M4 northbound has an overturned truck reported on the off-ramp to Pine Dean Road, so expect delays. In Mpumalanga, the N4 has a crash recovery underway between Cooperstal and Stellenbosch. In Cape Town, the N2 westbound has a crash near Muway, queuing traffic on both ways. Slow-moving traffic reported on the local route around the Bellville Transport Rank, Stellenbosch Arterial Road eastbound in Kells River, slow-moving at Nooinsfontein Road, and Victoria Road outbound, slow-moving through Woodstock. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
Okay, to me, there's been lots of talk about the Olympic Games or Paralympics and rugby, but there's also space for cricket, right? Go ahead.
Absolutely. Betting giants Hollywood Bets have teamed up with Cricket South Africa to sponsor the Women's Professional League after a one-year agreement with an option to extend. Hollywood Bets will serve as the official sponsor of the Pro Series, which is aimed at advancing women's cricket in South Africa. And CSA Chief Puletse Museki says that the Pro Series, which will consist of 6 teams, has the potential to grow the sport and discover emerging talent.
As we recall, last year we launched the very first professional women's league in the country. So this year, today we're basically welcoming a very important partner on board. So Hollywood Bets has decided to walk this journey with us, and we're quite excited to basically announce the launch of the Hollywood Bets Pro Series, which will really be what our women's domestic professional league will be called going forward.
In football, coach Hugo Bruce says that he chose not to elect Percy Tau for the national team because he feels that the 30-year-old might not be mentally ready for the AFCON qualifiers. Tau will be absent from the qualifiers along with other notable players such as injured Ronan Williams.
Percy Tau, it was not an easy decision for me not to select him. But there were two things that I took in account. First of all, Percy received a lot of criticism for the moment when he plays for Bafana Bafana. So I tried to protect him and support him for the game against Algeria. I was not there. But then you see after the game against Nigeria, it was again the same thing. So, yeah, they don't like him for the moment, and they expect too much about him. I had contact with him, and I said, yes, but this is part of the game. I said, yeah, this is part of the game, but somebody who tells me that it doesn't affect him, he's lying. So I know that it affects you because you love your country, you want to play, and you don't have the feedback from the supporters. And secondly, the situation in Magali for the moment is not clear. There are a lot of rumors. He is going to leave it. There's a problem with the transfer fee. He don't play anymore. From the beginning of August, he just played 17 minutes, and all the other games he was not even on the bench. So his situation is not good. And I was a little bit afraid with all that Percy for the moment is not really ready. We need the players who are ready, not only physically but also mentally.
Staying with football, elsewhere, Mohamed Salah says that he's not focused on his future beyond the season with less than a year to run on his contract at Liverpool. The Egyptian has written himself into the record books of the English Giants, scoring 213 goals since joining in 2017. Salah is just one of the three huge players for Liverpool out of contract at the end of the season, along with captain Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold. In the meantime, a special award will be presented at the 2024-25 UEFA Champions League draw ceremony in Monaco today. Cristiano Ronaldo, the all-time leading goal scorer in the UEFA Champions League, will be honoured with a special award from UEFA President Alexander Seferin in recognition of his remarkable legacy in the world's most prestigious competition. Ronaldo's achievements in Europe's premier club competition over the course of more than 18 years will be recognised during the inaugural 2024-25 UEFA Champions League 36-team league phase draw ceremony, which will take place around 6 p.m. He has scored 140 Champions League goals in 183 appearances and is 11 goals clear of Lionel Messi and 46 ahead of third place Robert Lewandowski at the top of the scoring charts. Then in wheelchair tennis, South Africa's wheelchair tennis player Ronald Rampadi hopes to make sports history starting tomorrow when they start to chase balls in the Paralympic courts in Paris. Now, the South Africans have been winning Grand Slam titles, but until now, South African players have yet to contest a final at the Games. And if Donald Rampadi can have his way, there will be a South African on the podium in Paris. And he finds that the Roland Garros is a good charm given his exploit of winning a first Grand Slam at the same arena at the French Open last year. Then finally in basketball, it's all systems go for the final round of the FIBA Under-18 African Championships, men and women, taking place in South Africa. 12 male and female teams divided in 3 groups will battle it out with the top 2 teams from each group and third best placed teams to advance to the quarterfinals. The finalists will earn their spot in the FIBA Under-19 Basketball World Cup in Switzerland. South Africa are in Group A alongside Mali, Tunisia, Cameroon and Rwanda, and it will be from the 1st to the 14th of September at the Rembrandt Sports Complex. That's it. It's a wrap from my side for now. I'll have more in the next
What do you make of the Bafana coach's position on Jimmy Tao?
I mean, you can hear that he's very fond of Percy Tau, not Jimmy Tau.
Did I say Jimmy?
Yeah.
Okay,
but,
Percy.
Yeah, you can hear that he's very fond of Percy Tau. However, Percy has been receiving a lot of criticism in terms of his performance as a whole. And I guess as a coach, you need to be fair in terms of, do I choose players to come into the national team based on merit or based on how I feel about a player? And towards the end of that bite, you can hear him saying that he feels that he hasn't been playing enough also. So on the one hand, he's trying to protect him from all this criticism, and on the other hand, the player hasn't been playing. So which other players are out there that perhaps have been getting game time and will do better in the national team?
So if he was playing well, then it's easier to get his mind right. If he's not playing well and his mind is not right and is criticised, then all the reason says leave him out, although he's quite a tremendous player that you need to get him to ultimately play for the team. All right, you can dwell on that. More sport from you to me in an hour.
The SAFM University Debate Challenge is back. Join us for the 1-hour debate on This Week Today with Oliver Dixon from 6 to 7 p.m. on Friday, the 30th of August 2024 at the SABC in Bloemfontein. The University of the Free State will take on the Central University of Technology in what promises to be a nail-biting debate. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is an independent, non-partisan progressive initiative seeking to develop confident communicators, critical thinkers, and empowered global citizens. If you want to attend the debate, you can email info@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, we have Makwe Masilela with us, the Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers. Good chatting as always. Let's talk about what? Santam as well as the local and global markets.
Afternoon to you, Ashraf, and to your listeners. Yes, Santam delivered an improved performance with pleasing underwriting results despite a difficult operating environment, and that's mainly in their primary market, progress with Future Fit 2030 strategy, and their diversification across market segments, insurance classes, and geographies helped them to achieve a resilient performance. Insurance revenue up 10%, profit as headline earnings per share up 25%, with dividends up 8%, and Ashraf investors are closely watching the tech sector after that AI heavyweight Nvidia posted their latest quarterly results. And last Friday, we know that the US chair said that the time has come for policy to adjust, boosting expectations for a rate cut at their next meeting. However, he declined to provide exact indications on the timing or extent of the cut. We see swaps traders slightly trimming their bets on interest rate cuts, and stocks rose and bonds fell as data showed that the US economy is holding strong, and that's despite elevated rates, and that's ahead of key inflation data tomorrow. And we know that our Q2 GDP will be released next Tuesday, but we saw our July producer inflation to slow by 0.2% month on month, and thanks to decreases when it comes to fuel prices. And after two losing sessions, all prices are heating up as concerns over Libyan supplies helped offset a smaller than expected draw when it comes to U.S. crude inventories, which tempered demand expectations. We see Brent is up 2% at $79 a barrel, and gold prices staying close to record highs as a rebound in the dollar cooled ahead of the key inflation data that is likely to factor into the outlook for interest rate cuts, and some safe haven demand is also helping. Yellow metal is up 0.5% at 2,516. Platinum is up 1.2% at 943. Europe and US markets are all in the positive, with the JSE up 0.4%. And we see the rand is 17.76 to the US dollar, 23.36 to the pound, and 19.65 to the euro.
Perfect. We will talk again tomorrow, Makwe. Thanks for your time as always. Another update from the markets coming up in about 50 minutes time, in fact, if I've got my maths right. Right, we'll chat to Mike Sharman about the magic of the Springbok brand after this.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
So we've been talking about this all for the last few days, not just because you like rugby or you don't like it, but it seems like of all the big sporting brands in our country, the one that you can't escape, that means it's ubiquitous. It gets to you, it gets under your skin, has got to be the Springbok rugby brand. And we see that once again, not just during big World Cup events. I think that applies to Bafana as well as the Proteas. But we see it once again now with the Test match. Yes, against the big enemy, or the old enemy, one may call it, the Boks against the All Blacks. So we thought, let's talk about the magic of the Springbok brand. Mike Sharman with me. Mike, good chatting to you. Hi.
Lovely to hear from you, Ashraf. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. So help us with this. I mean, first of all, is there, and we're talking about the brand in terms of its visibility as opposed to the actual team tactics, right? Is there magic in the Springbok brand?
There's most definitely magic, and there's commercialization, and it comes down to one key ingredient is winning and success. People love backing a winner, and I think when we come from a country where we have so many struggles and challenges on a daily basis, the Springboks under the Khaleesi, Rassie Erasmus era have been synonymous with unity, success, achievement, and adversity against all odds.
And so here's the thing. Has it always been like that? I'm looking at the Boks from 1994 onwards as opposed to what happened before, okay? I was in the opposition trenches, if you can get my point, right? Has it always been the case in the last 20, 30 years, or were there peaks and troughs?
Definitely not. Definitely peaks and troughs. I mean, there was always the success and the excitement around winning World Cups, but under the Khaleesi Erasmus era, we've seen the most naturally and organically transformed, but not to tick a box, but because we are based on merit and the success of a combined team and playing to our strengths regardless of our backgrounds, races, shapes and sizes.
Okay, now you mentioned the commercialization of the brands. I mean, and all these big brands need to commercialize to ensure that they invest in that sport, right? So how has the Boks been able to leverage of the brand to commercialize effectively?
Well, remember, Ashraf, it was actually at an all-time low. If we think about the Alistair Coetzee era and how the stocks and the shares had plummeted. If the Boks were a listed company, the stocks would have been trading at an all-time low. And there were opportunities from brands like MTN. MTN jumped in and said, cool, we're going on a journey. And maybe they took advantage of the lower base value and the lower price. Supersport did an incredible job at backing this horse that looked a little bit broken, and they started creating behind the scenes content which inevitably became Chasing the Sun. And I think there was this whole collection of, it was decisions of players, it was decisions of getting the right brains trust involved in the business, and then as the victories and the success came, we also had an inspirational leader as a captain who showed us that it is possible to achieve even if you've come from nothing. So I think all of these things work together in the perfect storm to actually epitomize what branding is all about. The brand is not that jumping buck on our chest. The brand is the emotion and the feeling that we get, and why we all have goosebumps in the build-up to this Ellis Park, Emirates Airline Park epic that's loading for this weekend. And it's essentially a mini tour. And that you don't see a lot of that in rugby anymore. There used to be those 3 to 5 match series. We have the Lions series, which is, it happens every 5 or every 4 or 5 years, but that's in different countries. So we only get the Lions every 12 years. And off the back of that, the All Blacks are here in town back-to-back 2 weekends in a row, which is incredible.
Absolutely.
And I think it feels like a mini test,
mini
series.
Mini World Cup, I suppose, in many ways, considering they played in the World Cup final too. So let's then extend this conversation outside the playing field to, you're giving us reasons why there's a genuine love for the team, and it seems like Rassie and Sia just say the right things all the time. It's just quite, I could listen to Rassie Erasmus all day long, and I follow sport, right? But does that then translate elsewhere, meaning to what degree, and I'm making the comparisons to the Proteas, to the Olympic team, which is, I think it's a very different scenario, but certainly to Bafana, where people are willing to spend big money to buy the souvenirs, to get the memorabilia, to wear the Springbok jersey, even if they're not going to the games, but wearing it on match day no matter what?
I think that the elephant in the room is always the Proteas, because they are the ones that seem to lack the big match temperament. They seem to be the antithesis of the Boks. The Boks can handle the pressure. They can win by 1 point 3 weeks in a row. Whereas we unfortunately saw it again with the Proteas. They failed at the final hurdle against India and the West Indies. Bafana, I think that there's a lot of structural challenges, and there are, a whole plethora of reasons why the success on the pitch it does not really translate. And I think that there's a lot of administrative issues and there's a lot of challenges behind the scenes. But I think if you look at those 3 national sporting codes, and if you look at the consumer wanting to shell out for merchandise, for tickets to the event, to selling out stadia, the team that will do that over and over again is the Springboks, because they don't always win pretty, but they show the grit and the tenacity to sometimes win ugly. And I think as a viewer, it creates great drama, suspense, and intrigue, but the hope invested in that team doesn't let us down. The hope invested in a team like the Proteas inevitably breaks our souls.
These are the days of our lives, clearly. So here's the thing. Are you able to put a rand value? We got about a minute or so to go. A rand value to the Springbok brand. Can you give us that?
I think it's probably around the 700 million rand to R1 billion mark, like just gut feel. When you think about the likes of Chiefs and Pirates, still command some of the highest brand value if you commercialize that in actual sponsorship terms. But I think that the Springboks own the hearts and minds. And I think that 700 million to R1 billion rand in terms of commercialization, I think it is far more in terms of the emotional connection, the layers, the series, the tuning into pay TV, and then the associated brands thereof, the Castle Lagers of the world, the MTNs, the FNBs, they all benefit off the top of that emotional connection to the brand.
And lastly, very quickly, what about the players? How much do they benefit? I'm thinking the captain's obvious. If you're a 6 foot tall lock, you're going to just get more attention. But also if you play at fly half, scrum half, I would think people would recognize you better than others. I'm looking at people like Faf, for example, right? Just a quick answer on that.
I think that the short answer is these guys are living in the most commercial time they ever have. It's the most lucrative contracts. It's the biggest deals. It's the biggest sponsorship opportunities. So once again, because they are back-to-back champs, they can make the most money that they've ever made in their careers. And some of them can potentially put away enough money to save themselves and future generations if they are wise about their investments.
And that's where we leave it. And I'm just worried, why did my father not advise me to say, Ashraf, become a Springbok player? In fact, I'm wearing green today. I promise you that. Unintentional, but maybe it's very intentional subliminally. Mike, great chatting to you, Mike Sharman. Thanks for your time and connecting to us here on the National Pulse.
Catch me, Bonang Mateba, on a fresh reality series that showcases the business behind being a business. Get to experience an intimate look at my life with family, personal growth, and my mission to uplift young women. Jet with me as we prepare to crown a lucky chaser. Be grounded, be entertained, and be dazzled. Monday, 6 p.m. on S3, it's a date with you and B. Catch Bedazzled by Bonang on S3 every Monday at 6 p.m.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's Elimination Week and the bottom 6 must bake their ultimate cookie and milkshake pairing. It's a match made in heaven, but will they perfect their flavor combinations under pressure? Take part in the weekly viewers competition and stand a chance of winning a classic stand mixer to the value of 10,000 Rand. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7. Repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
You are listening to the National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
Excuse me. We've been talking in the last few days about the Nelson Mandela Museum, right? And how we're going to be covering some of the aspects of the museum. It's so, in many ways, we the National Pulse as a program. You have SAFM in general hosting the conversations that moves the nation. And then you get, anything done in the name of Nelson Mandela. Coming back on the Springbok brand and how powerful that is. Well, what about the Nelson Mandela brand? So let's talk then about the Nelson Mandela Museum. Dr. Vuyani Boy is with me, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nelson Mandela Museum. Thanks for joining us. You're connected to the National Pulse.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So, explain to me, the significance of, where is this museum? Why is it that important? What does it consist of?
Well, the museum is very much important simply because it is an institution that keeps the memory about Nelson Mandela. It's an institution that is keeping the values and the legacy of Nelson Mandela, not just keeping that, but also celebrating, you know, the legacy of Nelson Mandela and all his works, you know, as a revolutionary and also as a freedom fighter, human rights advocate.
Okay, tell me where the museum is, and I suppose the obvious thing people listening are like, well, is it open? Can I go and visit? Of course, you should be able to.
The museum is based in Mthatha in the Eastern Cape. It is also spreading, you know, around a village called Kunu, which is a place where Nelson Mandela grew up. That is where it is.
All right. Tell me more about what does it entail in terms of the artifacts, I would think, and memorabilia in that museum.
Well, within the museum, we are keeping the gifts of Nelson Mandela that he received throughout the world, especially after his release from jail. So that is the gifts that we are keeping. We are not only keeping the gifts about Nelson Mandela, we are also keeping, you know, a live memory, you know, living experiences, you know, about Nelson Mandela. And we are trying by all means to share that with all the peoples of the world, in particular people of South Africa, the younger generation, that they should understand who was Nelson Mandela, and that they should understand that Nelson Mandela was not an extraordinary person. You know, he was just an ordinary person who actually, you know, who was raised, you know, and grew up within the villages as much as, you know, the majority of South Africans grew up in the villages.
So tell me more about the museum in Kunu in terms of, you know, what does it consist of? What does it look like? I know there's a camp there as well. Tell me more about it.
Well, if you go to Kunu, you will come across with what is called the Nelson Mandela Heritage and call it a youth center. It's a youth center in Kunu which was dedicated to the people of Kunu, in particular young people, and in general to the people of Eastern Cape, young people. So that is what we are keeping them. And what is important about the Kunu establishment, you come across with very prominent quality cultural resources like the stone, or what is called a sliding stone, where Nelson Mandela used to play with his contemporaries at the age of called 7, 8 years to 9 years. You also come across with the graveyard, you know, of Nelson Mandela family, and not far away from the center called Kunu Center, you come across with the actual grave of Nelson Mandela. And even you come across with the primary school, Kunu Primary School, where Nelson Mandela went to, and also a church which actually gave Nelson Mandela, you know, a new meaning of life.
So much. I'm wondering how popular is it? I mean, how many people, you know, attend on a daily or a weekly basis?
No, the museum is very much popular, in particular amongst the internationals. We are having, you know, an influx of tourists coming from different parts of the world, coming to Nelson Mandela Museum. We are also having young people, you know, the learners from the surrounding high schools, and also, you know, students from different universities coming to visit, you know, Nelson Mandela, and not only to visit, but also some of them they conduct research, some of them they conduct various studies on the life of Nelson Mandela. In fact, they are looking at different aspects, you know, that actually constituted and shaped Nelson Mandela.
I'm thinking, you know, next month, so like imminently next week is in fact is Heritage Month, right? And one would think you run more and more people to follow the heritage trail of South African leaders, in this case Nelson Mandela. How, you know, getting to Kunu is great, but it's clearly not where the big numbers of people are living, whether it's Joburg, Cape Town or Durban, right? Yeah. How do we make it easier for people to get there? You know, considering some people may drive or fly and then still get to that community. Have you thought of ideas that we can accelerate the process where, you know, almost like a 2-day trip from the big cities, get there and go back home?
You know, I think we are doing it differently here. Because what we have decided to do as a strategic choice, we go to where people are. We are taking this museum, you know, to all the provinces of this country. we are not only just taking the museum, to all the programs, but also outside, the country. Because not everyone is able to get to Mthatha, and not everyone is having enough time to travel. We have decided to develop comprehensive and critical programs, educational programs, traveling exhibitions, seminars, conferences that we are taking outside, Mthatha, and also outside Eastern Cape.
So
trying to reach out to all the people of
a
South
mobile
Africa.
museum, right? How can people connect with you? I mean, give us a website or a contact number very quickly.
Most definitely, I may not be able to give you the number right now, but I will always encourage people to go to the website of Nelson Mandela Museum. That is where they can get, it's a very resourceful and interactive website. That is where they can get all the necessary information, the contact details, who they can talk to if they want to come and visit Nelson Mandela, and what hours, what days, of opening.
And
so that is the kind of information that is there.
And I'm thinking, if this show is called The National Pulse, then why are we not broadcasting from there sometime soon? I'll leave you and I to think about that. That seems to be the most obvious thing to do. Dr. Boy, much appreciate your time. You certainly you got me thinking, and I'm sure by extension, the entire nation, locally as well as globally, thinking about getting to the Nelson Mandela Museum. Much appreciate your time. Let's get the news now. Here's Greg House.
Thank you, Ashraf. In this news update, Ramaphosa speaks on Sovereign Wealth Fund and Human Rights Watch slams abuses in Sudan. Good day to you. President Cyril Ramaphosa says South Africa is currently not in a position to immediately establish a sovereign wealth fund. He was answering questions in the National Assembly during an oral reply session. The question was asked by an ANC MP on how South Africa could develop a sovereign wealth fund to benefit the majority of South Africans. Ramaphosa started by describing a sovereign wealth fund in the context of South Africa and how other countries develop such a fund.
In a document that was published in December of 2021 by the National Treasury, they described some of the features of a sovereign wealth fund. And they say that such a fund is often a state-owned company that would accumulate resources for capital investment through a dedicated revenue instrument or instruments. It would then invest these resources in different asset classes. Countries with sovereign wealth funds, and there are quite a number of them around the world, often maintain surpluses in their current accounts and balance sheets or balances.
Ramaphosa elaborated on why South Africa cannot establish such a sovereign fund at this time.
Funding for service delivery remains under pressure for us. Additional resources are required to improve the recruitment of key personnel such as police and teachers. We also need to increase investment in the maintenance of basic service maintenance or infrastructure rather. In light of these realities, the most appropriate policy path for us is to use any additional resources at this moment to reduce the debt burden that our country carries and improve the delivery of services.
The ANC in Swane has withdrawn tomorrow's planned motion of no confidence against Mayor Celia Brink. This follows an urgent application by Brink filed in the High Court in Pretoria to have the motion blocked. He argues it's unlawful and is entitled to sufficient time to respond to the issues raised. The motion by the ANC is supported by the EFF, Action SA, COPE, ATM, ACDP, AIC and the Good Party. They say Brink has failed to rescue the city with service delivery worsening under his leadership. The ANC's Regional Secretary, George Machila.
We are respecting the legal issues that are pending, and within a period of 2 weeks, we think we'll be able to come back and conclude the business. We have agreed in principle that the motion that has been put is going to be temporarily withdrawn so that we deal with the side issues that are creating an impediment for all of us. But for sure, in 14 days, we'll be back.
Deputy Transport Minister Mkhuleko Hlengwa says the process of identifying the remaining 8 bodies of people who died in a bus crash in Louis Trichardt and Limpopo is underway. 10 people died in the crash on Tuesday. The Deputy Minister says they'll be working with Zimbabwean authorities to repatriate the bodies.
Currently, the situation, of course, is that bodies are being identified. The Consul General has informed me that 2 have been positively identified by families yesterday, and 2 families have arrived a short while ago as well. And from here, we're proceeding to ensuring that they are able to successfully identify the deceased as well.
Human Rights Watch says both sides in the Sudan war have executed, tortured and ill-treated people in their custody. It's analysed videos filmed over the last year which show abuses committed by the Sudanese army, the paramilitary, rapid support forces and others. Letitia Barders from Human Rights Watch.
Some of the most devastating and obviously alarming findings is that the perpetrators are filming themselves doing this. And it just highlights how immune to punishment that they've repeatedly done this. This isn't just one unit or under one commander. This has been happening over time and space throughout this conflict.
Top story, President Ramaphosa says South Africa is currently not in a position to immediately establish a sovereign wealth fund. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Khos.
In sports, the Sao Tau left out of as Bruce names final Bafana Bafana squad for crucial 2025 AFCON qualifiers, and Hollywood Bets sponsors the Women's Cricket Pro League. More details at 5:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound is queuing through Crown Interchange towards Boysons. Modderfontein Road eastbound in Lombardy East has a crash reported at Wordsworth Road. The N1 northbound in Midrand is queuing towards Samrand Road, and Old Johannesburg Road northbound in Centurion has a crash reported at the N1 highway. In KZN, the M4 northbound has an overturned truck reported on the off-ramp to Pine Dean Road, so you are to expect delays. The R102 southbound is slow moving near Old North Coast Road. In Pietermaritzburg, the N3 eastbound has a crash reported after the New England Road exit, and the N3 westbound has a crash before Peter Brown Drive exit. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound slow moving towards Okavango Road. The M5 southbound is slow moving towards Racecourse Road. The M3 southbound is slow moving towards Rhodes Drive. The N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard outbound slow moving towards Hospital Bend, and the N7 Jakes Havel Drive northbound slow moving at Voortrekker Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Stay safe on the roads. SAFM is with you. This Women's Month, celebrate the incredible strength, resilience, and achievements of women with our Empower Her Voice of Strength campaign. Join SAFM as we highlight inspiring stories, share valuable insights, and promote gender equality. Tune in for special segments, powerful interviews, and daily inspiration. Together, let's uplift and empower women everywhere. Be part of the movement. Hashtag Empower Her. Hashtag Voices of Strength. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Last year finalists Kabuyelo Masandawana trust that high-level focus will return them to the final. Meanwhile, Stellies plan to dismantle all of that and book the vital ticket to the last 22-man standing. This is the second leg of the MTN 8 semi-final. Stellenbosch FC clashes with Mamelodi Sundowns FC on Sunday, 1st September at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC 1 and SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Do not forget, we'll have a podcast of the conversation I had with Mike Sharman earlier on. In fact, with many of the others too, with certainly with Colleen Makubele, as well as the chat I had with Prof. Tuli Maronsela, and just about everything else. So go to safm.coza. You'll find all those podcasts, but also if you want it quicker, just join the National Pulse WhatsApp channel. It's a channel, right? Just join if you want to join in for alerts 0614 104 107. Just say join channel, and Vuyani will certainly, Fusani rather, will just certainly add you to that channel. Just talking about some of the big news stories of the day. Now, we had this conversation regarding the future of the city of Tshwane, regarding the ANC as well as the DA and Action SA. Well, we'll be chatting about that just now, getting a response from the DA perspective coming up. But in the meantime, here's an interesting one. Helen Zille has tweeted regarding the position that the Action SA more than likely will pull out of that Tshwane coalition. And her response is, Action SA has just put a bullet through its brain. Have you got that? Action SA has just put a bullet through its brain. That a tweet from Helen Zille. By the way, let me just tell you, we'll chat to Nomzamo Mbata coming up later on. Do not miss that in that feature we call Winning at around 10 to 6. And tomorrow, this time, 5 o'clock, Naledi Pandor is my guest as part of the Friday Fireside Chat. So listen out for that. And let me just remind you as well, Oliver Dixon has tweeted me or WhatsApp this, Ashraf. Do not forget to remind people, Paul Mashatile, he's Oliver's guest tomorrow morning on the breakfast show from 8 o'clock, I think 8 to 8:30, maybe 8 to 9, I don't know, but certainly 8 o'clock. Listen out to that. So all issues keeping you fingers on the pulse here on SAFM in particular, right? Okay, so earlier on we chatted to Colleen Makubele. Remember, she had moved on from her party, has now joined the MK party. So first things first, we have with us, we're going to get a response in terms of what she said, and we'll touch on that in a moment. But first things first, let me just introduce my guest, Zakele Ndlovu, who is a political analyst from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Good chatting to you. As always, you're connected to the National Pulse. Hi.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon indeed. Right, let's do this. Before we start talking, I spoke earlier on to Colleen Makubele and first asked her basically why she's joined the MK party.
Maybe the starting point should be this. The foundation and the formation of SERA was precisely the values and the principles that I believe MK is upholding right now. It's the amalgamation, the consolidation of minority parties coming together, to find common ground and speak with one voice, try to address the issues that we jointly feel strongly about in our nation's economy, inequality, poverty, and see how we can put our skills, expertise, our minds together, find solutions. That's why we formed SERA. Unfortunately, I was fired from COPE and we had to run SERA the way we did because then COPE withdrew. I was going in as COPE, right? And MK now, post the election, they started a call, which I was invited and many other parties were invited to say, let's consolidate as the progressive forces, irrespective of what ideology you stood for. There's an opportunity to stop all of these 50, 60, 70 parties going into elections and coming home with nothing. Let's come together. Let's see if we can consolidate even our voters, our supporters, agree on one vision. And I bought into that because that's what SARA was all about.
So that's one point about buying into a new vision. I then asked her, where does she see herself fitting in to the MK party?
At this stage, and I'll be honest with you, I've not been offered a specific position, but we do know and we've agreed that there's a real need of women leaders within the party and to also foster the women leaders to come and join the political sphere. So wherever I'll fit in, and I'm saying it sincerely, I will. At this stage, I just decided this is really what the vision of SERA was. It's better expressed within MK. I want to express myself politically within MK, and that's what I'm going to be negotiating for. I bring onto the table skills, expertise, experience, whether in corporate and in private sector, even in government. I've been in positions of leadership, qualified, and that's what they're looking for. So I would like a place where I can be able to express that at value, whether it's in the management of the party or administration of the party or in a position in the legislature at this stage, provincial legislature or member of parliament. But I would like to be in a place where I'm able to be express my leadership, inspire other women to come in and join and assist to build this MK party.
Then I asked Colleen Makubele about the overall appeal of the MK party to voters?
People are yearning for what the MK party stands for, and they have responded positively. They are yearning for a different kind of leadership in this country, and that's why they have responded to that. So that tells you that there was a gap that ANC is not feeling, or any other party, or we could not even feel as different parties thinking, we are bringing a fresh way of looking at it. People are looking for an organization that represent their aspirations, especially as black people, that is close to the liberation movement, but without perhaps what they think the liberation movement at this stage represents.
All right, so that's some of the pronouncements of Colleen Makubele. You can listen to the full interview. It's a podcast. Go to safm.coza, download it, listen to it, enjoy it, critique it as well. However, let's get Zakhele Ndlovu now to critique all of that. Thank you for joining us. So what do you make of this transfer? I've been calling these political transfers.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Look, what I'm hearing here is that Ms. Makubele says she joins the MK party because she feels that what her previous party stood for is what MK also stands for. And also the idea that smaller parties should come together to form a stronger opposition. But clearly, her party failed to win even one seat. So this is about political survival, about relevance, and ultimately about paying bills and putting food on the table. Unfortunately, that's what our politics has come down to. That people are in it because it's a career, and also obviously something that can sustain them. But I think one of the interesting points for me is that the MK party now is seen as the alternative to the ANC. Previously, that was the role of the EFF, that it is the alternative to the ANC. Now, we see that MK now has become the alternative. And this idea that it is some kind of a liberation movement, a party that is going to liberate black people in South Africa. I think that we have seen how playing that particular card of liberating, freeing the people of South Africa, making their lives better is what sells to the voters in South Africa.
Yeah. Okay. So, I hear you saying about, basically ensuring you are fully employed. Let's talk about opportunism. I hear that, right? But having said that, what place would there be within the MK? I know why they would take her, but where do you see her shaping up and growing within the party anyway?
Look, she's had experience as the speaker in Johannesburg, so at least she has some experience in government. I strongly suspect that they'll give her some position in government, be it at the provincial level or wherever. But and of course, she mentioned that there's a shortage of women in leadership positions within MK, so maybe she could fill that particular void. So I think her experience is going to serve her well. And obviously, I don't think they should have joined MK if she has not been promised a position. Obviously, she won't say that she joined because she is going to get a certain position. But I think it's quite clear to all of us that she is going to get a position, otherwise she would not have joined the MK party.
Interesting, and she also made the point about negotiations or conversations took place over a 3-month period, which means it started just at the time of the results of that May 29 election. So it's certainly not a wake up in the morning and say, that's it, I'm moving on. This was planned.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at the number of people who have joined MK in recent days, including the high-profile leaders like your former Parastate Health CEO, like former PRASA CEO, former ESCOM CEO, Transnet CEO. I mean, these are all high-profile individuals. But the question is, are they needed in government, in politics rather, or are they needed elsewhere? But I think that these are also, ironically, some of the people who have been implicated in state capture. So they are all now coming together, MK, to play the oversight role, ironically, to hold the executive accountable. So it's going to be very interesting to see.
Let's go back to one of the earlier points you brought up, which is, for many people, let's say in the last 5 years, if not 10 years, if they were dissatisfied with the ANC and the DA was not an option, then the EFF would have been an option. It appears increasingly so now that the EFF is not an option. What do you think has happened there?
Look, I think that if you look at the election results, it's quite clear that, if MK had not been formed, I think the ANC would have won an outright majority. So, which means that quite a number of people still believe in this liberation politics, that they don't see the DA as the alternative because it is seen as a white party, and so in that sense it's not seen as a legitimate alternative for those who have been voting for the ANC. The EFF has lost that status, obviously. All along it's been seen as the alternative to the ANC. But with the formation of MK now, and the fact that MK won more votes than the EFF, clearly it has become a party that is seen as the alternative by many black people. It is very sad, I must say, that after 30 years, I don't think that we have recovered from these racial divisions, ethnic divisions. And then you see that in men in which people vote, that it's either they vote along racial lines or ethnic lines. And it looks like it's going to take us a while as a country to be able to look beyond our race and ethnicity and vote for a party that we think can lead us in the right direction.
All right, that's where we're going to leave it. Zakele Ndlovu, thank you for connecting with us and staying engaged here on the National Pulse. Appreciate your time. I think two big questions. We know where the MK party wants to go. We know where Colleen Makubele is going. What we don't know is what happens next to the ANC, and what we don't know is what happens next to the EFF. Two very, very big questions. If you want to give me an answer in terms of what you think, you can call in. You can also WhatsApp us with a voice note 0614 104 107.
The SAFM University Debate Challenge is back. Join us for the 1 hour debate on This Week Today with Oliver Dixon from 6 to 7 p.m. on Friday, the 30th of August 2024 at the SABC in Bloemfontein. The University of the Free State will take on the Central University of Technology in what promises to be a nail-biting debate. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is an independent, non-partisan progressive initiative seeking to develop confident communicators, critical thinkers, and empowered global citizens. If you want to attend the debate, you can email info@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply. The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
So we've been having these conversations, and that's why we're saying, I think today, as someone said earlier on, this show is on fire. There's so much happening. It's out of our control. What we can control is just reflecting the narrative. We don't make it. We don't shape it. In many ways, we just amplify the issues that are taking place all around the country, often all around the world as well. Right? Well, that's certainly the case with regard to the future of the mayor of the city of Tshwane. You may remember yesterday we spoke about it, and there was this motion of no confidence tabled for tomorrow. I understand there's a hold on that from the ANC side because of some legalities. They probably want to get their ducks in a row before they actually push for this. So that's one thing. In the meantime, maybe they're not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is the relationship between the DA and Action SA. It is that relationship which has ensured that up to now that the current mayor has remained in that position, Celia Brink. Now, I understand he has spoken about it, Celia Brink, that according to his sources, the Action SA has pulled out of that Tshwane coalition. He's very disappointed about it, and we had a previous chat about it as well to get another perspective, and it looks like that's the route it's going to go, certainly from an Action SA point of view, right? So let's get another thought about it, certainly from the DA side of it. Kwena Moloto is the DA Tshwane caucus spokesperson and also caucus advisor to the executive mayor. Kwena, good chatting to you. You're connected to the National Pulse.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you to the listener.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, based on the pronouncement, certainly from the incumbent mayor, and you know, a tweet is like a live press conference. I mean, that's the power, right? Then I suggest that you guys have one big headache.
Yeah, no, I mean, today really caught us completely off guard. We came to council with what we believed was a united coalition. Just find that in the middle of the day, Action SA, EFF, the ANC and ACDP held a press conference to announce that they would be removing the executive mayor. From our side, we felt that this coalition has delivered on a lot over the past several years. We felt that we've had a good relationship with Action SA. Just last month, their caucus leader released a statement talking about the stability that exists in Tshwane, how residents are starting to feel the impact of this multi-party government, how we're rooting out corruption. And so for Action SA to take a U-turn for us means that this has very little to do with service delivery and unfortunately everything to do with petty politics.
Well, I don't know about petty. I mean, from an Action SA point of view, and I chatted to them earlier on, right? I'm talking about Funzi Ngobeni. He's talking about getting a mandate from their structures, and their general view is that the rot set in terms of your relationship with them on the back of the DA's position joining the GNU, which meant that the coalition that the DA was the pioneers of, effectively, you had left that coalition without even telling them, and that's where the rot set in. And now they have to find, effectively, other alliances. That's the problem.
No, look, I think that Action SA is a very divided party at the moment. I recently saw the statement released by Michael Beaumont 30 minutes ago saying that they are, in fact, still part of the coalition. I've seen a short statement released by Funzi Ngobeni saying similar sentiments, but the press conference that took place before that with the Action SA caucus leader here in Tshwane, as well as the Action SA spokesperson, they very clearly stated that they are leaving this coalition, and not that there is a review process that they're waiting to take place. We were always under the opinion that a review process was going to take place, and that we have no fundamental issue with. We always believed that at the end of the review process, when looking at the successes we've had as a government together, that would speak far louder than any issues inside the national political space. But it was made very, very clear today before Michael Beaumont and before Funzi Ngobeni started to try and clean up. They announced locally that they are going to leave this coalition, support the motion of no
Okay, I hear you, but you see, here's the point, right? Obviously, I'd spoken to Funzi Ngobeni himself, and he's like, no, we didn't pronounce that we're leaving, but yes, you're saying it's part of a press conference, or they were, right? Anyway, that could be semantics. What's very clear, he didn't deny the fact that they are clearly reviewing their position with the DA. Now, that's the reality that you sit with right now. Now, my question to you is, you run the risk of complete breakdown of that relationship, which certainly impacts imminently on the city of Tshwane, right? What can you do? What will you do to try and bring the two parties together? Or do you simply say, that's it?
Look, we've been attempting to engage with Action SA at a local level and a national level for quite some time now, and we haven't been getting the same energy from their side. There's been no real attempt from their side to engage on this issue. And I just want to point out also, don't think it is semantics. I mean, I think that they clearly stated today in no unsimple terms that they are leaving, that their regional and provincial structures have told them they're leaving. But it's a different story, as I said, that now their national and provincial leaders are
they're saying something different. I understand that. I mean, certainly Funzi confirmed that they did not say they're leaving. So basically, it's a completely conflicting story. I hear that, okay? So here's the last thing. Helen Ziller just tweeted to say Action SA has just put a bullet through its brain. How do you respond to that?
No, look, I do believe that Action SA has completely destroyed any hopes that they have of trying to make up the ground that they lost inside the 2024 election, inside the upcoming 2026 election. We've always said that we have a coalition agreement, and that coalition agreement has governed how we operate here in the city of Tshwane, especially when it's come to disputes. We have not had any disputes laid by Action SA in the run-up to this pulling out of the coalition. We didn't receive any formal communication.
All right, I hear you. We're on to news time. Here's the last thing I want to just say. I mean, I hear what, first of all, Helen Ziller is using incredibly strong emotive language. And, some may say, it conjures up images that are just quite horrible, saying Action SA has just put a bullet through its brain. But let me just reply to that. You can just respond to that in 30 seconds only, please, to say, I would suggest that actually Action SA has put a bullet through the DA's brain.
I don't believe so. I think that we've seen inside the last round of by-elections just yesterday that the GA had massive wins across the country. We joined the GNU because it's what the country was calling upon. Action SA is removing a stable government for political gain. It's two completely different situations, and they've completely lost any integrity, any legitimacy going into the next election.
Let's leave it at that. Kwena Moloto. It's all about bullets and brains, and we can have that conversation all afternoon, I'm sure. Thank you for your time. Let's get the news headlines now. Here's Greg House.
Quick look at the headlines. The Department of Health has urged parents and caregivers to ensure that children are up to date with their rubella vaccinations as the country is experiencing a rise in cases. President Ramaphosa says South Africa is currently not in a position to immediately establish a sovereign wealth fund, and the Islamic Jihad group says one of its top commanders has been killed by Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank. There's a full update, as always, at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N1 northbound in Midrand is slow moving towards Samrand Road. Old Johannesburg Road northbound in Centurion has a crash reported at the N1 highway. In Bedfordview, the N3 northbound is slow moving on the link to the N12 east at Giluli's interchange, and the N12 R24 westbound has a stationary vehicle before Giluli's interchange queuing traffic on both routes. In KZN, the N2 southbound has a crash reported at Amanzimtoti. The M4 northbound has an overturned truck reported just before the M7 highway. The R102 southbound is slow moving near Old North Coast Road. The M7 westbound queuing towards Bellville Road exit, and South Coast Road has truck congestion reported between Bayhead Road and the M7 highway, so expect delays. In Mpumalanga, the N4 has crashed recovery underway between Coopersdal and Strydom Block. In Cape Town, the N7 checks Hartwell Drive northbound is slow moving at Voortrekker Road. Marine Drive outbound in Milnerton has heavy traffic queuing towards Racecourse Road. The N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard outbound queuing towards Hospital Bend, and the N1 outbound slow moving towards Okavango Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
Right, let's talk Bafana to me.
Yes, Bafana coach Hugo Bruce has announced a 23-man squad for a mixture of experience and youth to face Uganda and South Sudan in the upcoming 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. And notably, new Kaizer Chiefs signing Rashwan Dodley, who was not in the preliminary squad, is brought in for the first time in place of Given Simango. Meanwhile, Pirates midfielder Talente Mbata also gets his maiden national team call-up. And among those missing out from the previous squad that drew with Nigeria are forward Pesitao and Batusi Obaz. In defense, Ronan Williams misses out through injury as another Buccaneer. Sipho Chaine is stepping in to compete with regulars Ricardo Goss and Veli Motwa. Bafana host Uganda on the 6th of September at Orlando Stadium. Kick-off at 6 p.m. and then they travel to Juba to take on South Sudan on the 10th of September, and that is at 3 p.m. with both action live on SABC Sport.
You know, I will not lie. Let's say that for 80% I know who will play. But trainings are important. Maybe you see on training that, for example, Shane is not really good, and you had in mind to put him, then you will not take that risk. So it's also important to see what happens on training. But normally about keepers, the decision is always made before.
Staying with football, Mamelodi Sundowns coach Manqoba Mngqithi believes that 18-year-old striker Kutlwano Letlaku will be one of the club's standout players this season. The Soweto-born player joined Downs from the School of Excellence last year and was handed his second senior team appearance against Stellenbosch FC in the 1-0 MTN 8 semi-final first leg defeat yesterday. Now, Mngqithi says that he won't shy away from throwing the youngster in the deep end. Elsewhere, Mason Mount has confirmed that he suffered a muscle injury against Brighton and will miss a few games. The number 7 was subbed at half-time of last weekend's Premier League match against Brighton. In the meantime, a special award to be presented at the 2024-25 UEFA Champions League draw ceremony in Monaco tonight. Cristiano Ronaldo, the all-time leading goal scorer in the UEFA Champions League, will be honoured with a special award from UEFA President Alexander Seferin in recognition of his remarkable legacy in the world's most prestigious competition. Ronaldo's achievement in Europe's Premier League or Premier Club competition over the course of more than 18 years will be recognized during the inaugural Champions League 36-team league phase draw ceremony, which is taking place this evening at 6 p.m. SA time. Then in wheelchair tennis, South Africa's wheelchair tennis player Donald Jampadi says that he hopes to make sports history starting tomorrow when he starts to chase balls at the Paralympic courts in Paris. The South Africans have been winning Grand Slam titles, but until now, South African players have yet to contest a final at the Games. And Rampadi says that he can't wait to make it on the podium in Paris, as he finds that Roland Garros was a good charm and gives him exploit of winning a first Grand Slam at the same arena at the French Open. In cricket, betting giants Hollywood Bets have teamed up with Cricket South Africa to sponsor the Women's Professional League following a one-year agreement with an option to extend. Now, Hollywood Bets will serve as the official sponsor of the Pro Series, which is aimed at advancing women's cricket in South Africa. CSA Chief Puletsi Moseki says that the Pro Series, which will consist of 6 teams, has the potential to grow the sport and discover emerging talent. Then finally in athletics, Olympic relay star Bayanda Walaza claimed the under-20 men's world 100-meter crown in Lima this morning, with his Paris teammate Bradley Nkwana taking bronze. Walaza clocked 10.19 seconds, with Nkwana finishing third in 10.26 seconds. South Africa now has 3 medals and was lying joint third on the medals table after 2 days of competition in Peru.
I can guarantee you it's going to...
It was great. At this point, it feels great to be Walaza, yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited. I don't know. I have mixed emotions, excited, happy, there's a lot. Yeah, this is a true moment. Like it's happening. My future plan is to carry on with studying, continue running, and then we'll see.
Very happy for the young champ, and I'm looking forward to seeing, his future as a whole. But you can hear that his confidence is growing day by day.
Did you're done, right?
Yeah.
I want to say something. His dialect quote, this guy. Did you hear what he said today or overnight? He said, "I'm not doing this for fun." It's a great... the other day he said, when I go home, I don't know what they're going to say. They're going to say, like that's what he said. Today after, he's like, I'm not doing this for fun. There are people who need something like food on the table, and this is part of that process. There are others who don't win, and they also need to earn some money. He's just quite a remarkable human being.
Absolutely.
Seriously, keep an eye on him. Absolutely. By the way, just to tell you, we interviewed him, 2 weeks back?
2 weeks back.
There's a podcast of that conversation. Please go to safm.co.za, listen to that podcast. You will be so inspired.
With that said, ke Natume Nkgapele, Modimo ke yo.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's Elimination Week and the bottom 6 must bake their ultimate cookie and milkshake pairing. It's a match made in heaven, but will they perfect their flavor combinations under pressure? Take part in the weekly viewers competition and stand a chance of winning a classic stand mixer to the value of 10,000 Rand. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7. Repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
It's Truck Month at Ford, and that means one thing. You save big when you upgrade to a 4x4. Get a Ford Ranger Wildtrak 4x4 Auto Double Cab for only 12,999 per month with 0% deposit. That's only 12,999 per month with free 4x4 driver training at your nearest Ford dealer today. T&Cs apply. The Buccaneers are highly against anything that will prevent them from getting to the final as they chase their 3rd consecutive title. But the citizens are on a mission to spoil that party. This is the 2nd leg of the MTN 8 semi-final. Defending champs Orlando Pirates FC tackle Cape Town City FC on Saturday, 31 August at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC 1 and SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, it's time for the SFM market update. Today, Jimmy's off air. It means Dudu Ramela's on air. Hi, Dudu.
Just for about a day, hello to you and thank you very much, Ashraf. And good evening to the listeners. We speak now to MoneyWeb's contributor, and that is Henku Kriel, in terms of how the markets have performed today. Henku, good evening.
Good evening, Dudu, and hello to Ashraf and to me, and good evening to all of the listeners. Yes, it was a wonderful day all around the world, on all markets, very green. The Dow Jones and the S&P 500 at this stage trading 0.8% stronger, and the Nasdaq gaining 1.1%. It was a similar picture in Europe, where the FTSE 100 finished 0.5% up, and the DAX and CAC 40, they each gained 0.6% at the end of the day. Here by us on the JSE, the all-share index gained 0.3% today, finished at a higher level of 84,239 points. The industrial index finished 0.1% stronger, and the financial and resources index, both of them, finished 0.5% up. Some of the companies that gave strong performances today were Bidcorp, which gained 4%, Sanlam also up there 3.5% stronger, and Anglo Gold, Sun International and Harmony each finished the day 2.7% stronger. On the negative side of things, though, Sirius lost 3% today, and Implats, as well as Investec, those two companies finished the day 2.5% weaker, followed by Quilter, Hammerson, and Santam. They each lost 2% today. Among the 10 largest companies on the stock exchange, First Rand did the best and it gained 0.5%, but Anglo did the worst and finished 0.8% weaker today. Then if we have a look at the exchange rate, at the moment, 17 Rand 75 to the US dollar, then 19 Rand 69 to the euro, 12 Rand and 5 cents is what you'll pay for an Australian dollar, and 23 Rand 40 for a British pound. And on the commodities market, the gold price, $2,520 an ounce, silver is $29.50, platinum trading at $942, and palladium at $980 an ounce. And Brent crude is trading at $79 a barrel. Then lastly, but not least, the price of a Bitcoin is currently $60,920. That is equivalent to 1.1 million rand. And that's how the markets performed today, Dudu.
Henku, thank you very much for your contribution this evening. Henku Kriel is MoneyWeb's contributor. As you've heard from Henku speaking about the best performers and not so good performers, we speak to Impala Platinum's CFO, Meronisha Kerber, about their results, reporting not so great results, but she'll talk to us about that and the outlook for the company. But a company that has done well is Santam. We'll speak to Gukum Tetwa. She is the COO. Lower claims have lifted the group's earnings. We speak also about equality versus equity. What is the difference, pray tell? We speak to Faith Kanyile. She's the chairperson of Catalytic Strategy on why more women who lead South African households are still paid less. Yes, that conversation again. We also speak on how small businesses can prepare for Black Friday, what they say being ready and what an opportunity is equating to success. So maybe that's why we're speaking about Black Friday so early, if you're asking yourself. And then we take a look at our small business feature and we speak all things skincare with Amelia Rampadi, founder of Amy Skin. She's doing natural ingredient products which have been dermatologically tested. All that and more coming up on SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb at the top of 6 p.m. It's back to you, Ashraf.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Dudu, and enjoy your show coming up. Right. Let's get some calls. By the way, we will chat pretty shortly to Nomzamo Mbata. Do not miss that part of our series we call Winning. Listen out for that. Right. Tulani, what's your thoughts? Hi.
How are you, sir?
I'm good indeed. Right. Go ahead.
I'm good. I wish to wake up us South Africans. You know, it's a pity how we are being dulled down, especially by our politicians and our media at large. You see, Chris Hani, are you familiar with Ubabu Chris Hani?
Yeah, but make your point very quickly. We're battling with time. Go for it,
okay,
yeah.
Chris Hani and Jacob Zuma, they went to exile to liberate us. And when Chris Hani was assassinated, the people whom I believe killed Chris Hani shook hands with Mandela. They gave us Mandela. And now they are politically assassinating Ubabu Zuma. And they are giving us Cyril Ramaphosa, shaking hands with Cyril Ramaphosa. I think that we, South Africans, our politicians are coming up with all these bombastic, big English names just to dull us down. And the media, I think, is doing a fantastic job in propagandering us.
Okay. Let's leave it at that. I'll tell you what, another conversation on the role of the media, as you call it, propagandering us all. Thanks for that, Tulani. Let's talk about the Springboks from Anonymous. Hello.
Ashraf,
Yes,
I'll be
sir.
quick.
Go ahead.
I have a huge respect for the All Blacks, but if they're not going to disrupt our game by putting scoreboard pressure on us, we're going to suffocate them in front, and we're going to finish them with our speedsters at the back. Ashraf, go Boks!
We'll talk on Monday. Please call in after the Boks win. If they don't win, don't call in. Just call in anyway, right? Okay, thanks for that, Anonymous in the Northern Cape. Let me just see if I've got some voice notes I need to play. We're going to connect with our guest shortly, and a lot of it concerns the pronouncements of Thuli Madonsela.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Advocate Thuli Madonsela is a brilliant lady, Yeah, but I think she's now speaking like this because of the Women's Month. And it's surprising that she is warning people not to put definition to other things. But throughout your conversation with her, she is describing certain things. Why does she get powers to describe when she's warning us not to give or define anything?
I'm not too sure what you mean when you say she's describing certain things. You need to be very specific about that. I think she did say tread with caution about. She says corruption must be stamped out, but don't convict before the process is. There's a certain process that needs to continue. That's what she said.
Yo, Ashraf, please ask Mam Tuli Matonzera Rafuguchi, which public was she protecting? Because now you see there's children sleeping in the streets, and there's a mess like. Foreigners coming into our country, like which I really want to know that which public was that? Was it us? Because there's people who don't even know that there's a public protector. So I think it's only politics. We don't even respect her. You guys, the only educated ones, respect her. Like, he didn't protect us. She was just fighting with politicians. Because if she was protecting us, she would have changed a lot of things. Because she had the power to fight the government to change these things. Like foreign nationals, like foreigners, illegal foreigners flocking into our country. Like, we see that only you guys love and cherish her, doctor.
Okay, there we are. And the doctor's talking about the professor. Well, I don't know. I mean, see, here's the point. Just a quick one. Whatever you may talk about her, she was speaking to us today from a legal perspective. That's her level of expertise, a legal perspective. And then if you talk about all the other things, as you said about the people on the streets, etc., she was the public protector. She wasn't government. She wasn't the president of the country. There's a few other people that we know who are the presidents. Should we be talking to them about the so many people unemployed, or should we talk to Thuli Madonsela? She, of course, can speak for herself, but that's just one of the things that I'd like to just get you to reflect on. Okay, Nomzamo Mbata, we talked to her. She's winning after this.
The SAFM University Debate Challenge is back. Join us for the 1 hour debate on This Week Today with Oliver Dixon from 6 to 7 p.m. on Friday, the 30th of August 2024 at the SABC in Bloemfontein. The University of the Free State will take on the Central University of Technology in what promises to be a nail-biting debate. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is an independent, non-partisan progressive initiative seeking to develop confident communicators, critical thinkers, and empowered global citizens. If you want to attend the debate, you can email info@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply. The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
So today, the President, Ramaphosa, that is, he fielded the Q&A in Parliament, and he pronounced, well, in terms of South Africa's position, gave an update with regard to the ICJ Israel-Palestine case.
We have continued to take action at the International Court of Justice. Having initiated the action last year, we've continued to approach that court with further pleas and submissions to the court to make further rulings and to tighten up what they ruled in our favor last year. And in doing so, we've been fortunate to be joined by a number of other countries that have voiced and articulated their support for the case that South Africa initiated. We are now in the process of preparing almost a 500-page case which will be presented to the court, where we will be taking steps to prove that what we had approached the court on last year is the reality that Palestinians are living under.
That is the president. Let's move on to other things as part of the feature we end the show with every day called Winning, because we speak to winners and we reflect on what they're doing in their lives, right? And today it's the turn of Nomzamo Mbata. Nomzamo, good chatting to you. You're certainly a winner, and that's why we talk to you.
Oh, thank you, Ashraf. It's so great to hear you.
Much
Your
appreciated.
voice today.
Well, there you are. Well, I last heard you, of course, when you spoke in person, that is, not as an actress, at the, Top 16 Yoba Awards with Platinum Brands. And I think I told you that I thought your keynote, if I can call it that, was one of the finest I've heard ever. So I would suggest even now that people get to YouTube and listen to that full conversation. It was that brilliant, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Well, no pressure, right?
Well, no, not at all. Well, I mean, that's a good segue then to what you're doing now, because I think at that time when I'd met you, you would the Ushaka Ilembe was just about to start. It's going to like coming up in the next few days or something like that, right? Since then, I mean, that series has run. It's been fantastic. But significantly, you've been or you won an award, Best African Actress at the significant awards in Amsterdam. Tell me about that.
That was amazing. You know, we never do this work for recognition, right? But it's always great when our peers, particularly not only just on the African continent or within our own home shores, recognize it, but also when it crosses the borders, right? And it hits the other side of the pond. So it was a very beautiful moment. The show was nominated in 5 categories: Best Actor, Best Series, Best Costume Design, Best Makeup and Hair, and of course, Best African Actress. And we managed to scoop 2 of those 5, and it was a very, very good feeling just to be able to be in Amsterdam and speak about a show that means so much, a show that created so many jobs, but also a show that really shifted the landscape of television in South Africa and really made people feel so much pride when they saw it last year. So it was an awesome feeling, and we're still buzzing from that. We really are. And
so you should, right? What did the judges say? I mean, what is your citation? What did they say about you?
I'm not good at that at all. Goodness. In fact, Desiree was saying, why would you fumble your speech? I said, I'm so terrible at speaking about myself. But I suppose winning Best African Actress amongst so many incredible actresses who are doing incredible work on the African continent was a very affirming moment, and also very encouraging in my journey. You know, people see the wins, but they don't know the tough part about being an actress, where the calls are not coming in, or if you're waiting for that final yes. So it was an amazing affirmation, I suppose, in terms of just knowing that your work speaks to the global market. Shaga Ilembe was made for and by South Africans, and, you know, we got the reception that we needed. In fact, it surpassed every dream that we had for it. But to see how it touches international shores and how hungry the international market is for African performers, right? And also African stories that are told in authentic African ways. And for me, it was just an amazing thing to be a part of this show. But also it feels like a show that's really changed me for the better and changed so many lives. You know, the costume designer, Shelly Masondo, just seeing her on that stage. I mean, there was a costume designer who did costume design for The Gladiator in House of Gucci. Wow. And she was watching Shelly Masondo on that stage. And I just thought, gosh, this is why we do this thing, you know, so that we can really make dreams possible.
Absolutely. Well, you know, one of the things that we do on this short features, which we call winning, right? Because we look at people who are winning, and we certainly think you are. But I mean, it's very clear you're a champion in your space, right? And, you know, I like to play up champions. Yeah. How do you feel about your own journey from where you started to where you are now? And for us now to be talking about you as, you know, a champion in your space.
Thank you for that. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. A girl that comes from where I come from is not supposed to make it this far. And I only know that I haven't even begun to see the clips of my summit, that there's so much that awaits me, right? I come from Guamash, it's Ngongawini, and you just grow up dreaming of something and of course laughing it off because it's so far-fetched. And so to be able to live in the dream of your life in a way that is just so supernatural is a very big moment for me. But I also know that I continue, it's a duty of mine to be a tangible representation of a dream realized, because I don't believe in being the only success story. I believe in taking so many with me, because no man is an island, right? And so there's so many young girls who are holding on to a vision, holding on to a dream, and holding on to something that feels beyond their own horizon. So to just be able to live that is really an amazing thing, and I don't take it for granted. And I know it's a lot of grace, but also it's a lot of luck and a lot of hard work.
Well, I was going to ask you, I mean, you know, I don't need a 2-minute answer. We don't have the time for that. But if you had to reflect on your, you don't have the, if we reflect on your career, and I'm saying to you, you're winning, what would you attribute your success to?
Putting on my blinkers like a racehorse and running my own race at my own pace in my own way.
As simple as that, putting on your blinkers, right? And was there a moment when you realized that having put on your blinkers and ran your own race, in fact, you were winning at that race? Was there one specific moment where it was like, wow, I've actually done this?
Yes. When I, at the peak of my career, decided that I wanted to go back to UCT and get my BCom accounting, that I had unfinished business with that university and I wanted my qualification. And everybody thought, why would you leave? You're at the peak of your career. You're in demand. Everybody wants a piece of you. And I said, but it's everybody else's dream. But I still have my own pursuit. I still have my own race that I need to finish. And so to be able to do that and go ahead and fight for my dream. And also leaving South Africa, Ashraf, it wasn't easy to leave South Africa where, I can get offered a job. Whereas I go to America and I have to audition, I start from scratch, and to prove that I can be able to navigate choppy waters, right? And just challenge myself each time. And so again, it goes back to that summit where you think that you look at a Nomzamo and she's winning, but Nomzamo has her own idea of winning because she continues to just challenge herself and start from scratch. And so that's really the things that I would probably say I attributed my success to, or my journey to.
Okay, now tell you what, as we wrap up, I'm deliberately not going to even touch on the fact that you're an ambassador with the Global Citizen cause and that you're going to be part of that festival coming up in September. I'm not going to talk about it. Only because, and there's the reason.
We need a studio hour.
Well,
we just need an hour studio.
You've just answered the question, so you've taken my bait. So that's the reason why I'm not going to talk about it now. I'll leave it to you. Keep on winning, and let's do that for an hour ASAP. Thanks for your time, Nomzamo Mbata. Certainly someone who's
Ashraf.
winning indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's, by the way, tomorrow, Naledi Pando is my guest from 5 to 6. Listen out for that. And Paul Mashatile, tomorrow morning, Oliver's guest from 8 o'clock in the morning. So listen out for that. There's so much happening here. It is SAFM. This is the National Pulse. Let's get the news now. It's 6 o'clock. Here's Greg Kroos.
Thank you again, Ashraf. An increase in rubella cases, and Ramaphosa speaks on the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Good evening. The Department of Health has urged parents and caregivers to ensure that children are up to date with their rubella vaccinations as the country is experiencing a rise in cases. Rubella is an infection